Welcome to Noble, a network of owners, business leaders, and entrepreneurs. Here, we focus on the 5 stages of business: launching an idea, establishing a business, hiring employees, creating leaders, and then expanding your impact. We hope you enjoy today's session.
All right. So what would need to happen to make these next 30 days, let's say you started today with day 1, these next 30 days, the most amazing month of your life, okay? And so what I would like to ask you right now, and you all have slides or copy of these slides in front of you that we're sharing today. What I'd like for you to do is write down what would need to happen in the next 30 days for you to be able to have a more amazing future. Okay, what are some of those issues maybe that you're dealing with right now? Some hurdles that you need to get over. Okay, what are some ways you need to set time aside to work on this? Okay, but write 1 to 3 things down that you would need to do to make the next 30 days dedicated to this effort. Okay, so ordering the book takes about 2 or 3 days from Amazon, so you can get the book pretty quickly. That's why I said we're going to try to cover 2 or 3 days of the first group today. But what would you need to do to prep for the next 30 days? Those of you that are still writing, you can continue to do that. And I'm going to ask an open question here, certainly with our virtual audience as well. What attracted you to Unhackable? What attracted you today?
Because I know I'm getting hacked.
Because you know you're getting hacked. Okay.
Yay.
What's an example of you knowing you're getting hacked? The phone.
There's a little dang red circle.
That thing right there. All right. And who else? Who else like to share? What else attracted you to this topic today and why?
But I want to get more into the focus or the groove so I can get more tasks done.
Okay, more focus. Good. Anybody virtually?
Become more focused and thus more productive.
Okay, more productive. Good, good. All right. So trust me. If you put the time in over the next 30 days, it's going to change your life. It really, really is. Okay. And we're going to tell you why today. We're going to tell you why. So most of what I'm going to be sharing today is convincing you that you need to spend 30 days to do this. Now, we all know we get busy. We've got tasks going on. So maybe it takes 45 days. Maybe it takes 60 days, and you're taking, 1 day in the book, 1 chapter in the book, maybe taking you 2 or 3 days. Hey, that's fine. Okay. But trust me that if you start to go through this and implement some of these things, it really is going to change your future. We are all hacked. We were all hacked during COVID. Can we all agree that in some way COVID hacked us, right? We couldn't see other people. We couldn't do the things that we used to do. at the very early stages, we couldn't go to the grocery store. Then we're covering up our faces, all these kind of things. And a lot of us are still suffering from COVID. Okay. Who in here still in some way suffering from COVID? I know I'm one of them. Okay. So there's still residual from that we have to deal with. But hopefully we never have to deal with anything like that again. What do you do when you get hacked? What happens when something unexpected kind of hits you? What's typically your reaction? Mine, sometimes I freeze. Does that sound similar to some of you? You kind of freeze. You don't know what to do, right? And you're being hacked in that situation, all right? And we're going to talk about how to prevent that so that in future situations when struggles, challenges, unexpected things come to you, you're going to be able to deal with it better. Because when you freeze, you become unproductive, not only with that situation that's freezing you, but you also become unproductive in everything else that you're supposed to be doing, right? And it just messes with you. So we freeze, all right? And some ways that we react when we freeze. What do you do when you freeze? What is kind of your escape when you're trying to avoid the challenge or try to avoid something that's unexpected? Anybody?
I overthink like different scenarios
Okay, so you
Yeah.
overthink.
and it gets me anxiety.
Okay, anxiety. Okay, get you anxiety. Anybody else?
Yeah, that's the word. Yeah, anxiety, like every year when I have my dance recital, something goes crazy, anxiety. And I had my recital here last Saturday. And for dress rehearsal, and I hadn't told anybody at the church yet. Nobody was here to open the church for me for dress rehearsal. So I called, then they did give me the accommodation to get in. Just different things happening. Or one guy, he freezes, he can't do his movement. And he just doesn't show up. And I had to go on and go to the next person. I'm like, where are you? And I said, I had to act normal because people were out looking in front, but the person that was supposed to do something just up and left. And so okay, next. I just had to, where I was going inside. I said, okay, we just go to the next one. But actually, I was just.
How many years of experience do you have in teaching?
This is like 30 years.
30 years. So with all that experience, you were able to respond well, okay? Back on day one, when you first would have done this,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So you've learned over time how to deal with that. So, all right. So, what does the word abracadabra mean? Hey, Jeff, welcome. Dustin, welcome. Just welcome a couple new faces that joined us virtually. So, welcome you guys. What does abracadabra mean? Anybody?
I create what I speak.
All right. Nice. All right.
It's in the next slide.
I create as I speak. I create as I speak, you cheater. It's actually a Hebrew phrase meaning I create what?
Oh,
What I speak.
that is so true. That's so good.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
I love that.
In the Hebrew language, the phrase translate more accurately is I came to pass. It came to pass as it was spoken. Okay. What does that phrase make some of you think about? It came to pass as it was spoken. Manifesting, right? Okay. All right. Let there be light. What does that make you think of? Creation. Okay. Made in God's image. Susie, would you do me a favor and share with us Genesis 1, chapter 1, verses 26 through 31.
Then God said,
let us make human beings in our image to be like us. They will reign over the fish in the sea, the birds in the sky, the livestock, all the wild animals on the earth, and the small animals that scurry along the ground. So God created human beings in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. Then God blessed them and said, "Be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and govern it, reign over the fish and the sea, the birds in the sky, and all the animals that scurry along the ground." Then God said, "Look, I have given you every seed-bearing plant through the earth and all the fruit trees for your food. And I have given every green plant as food for all the wild animals, the birds in the sky, and the smallest animals that scurry along the ground, everything that has life." And that is what happened. Then God looked over all he made, and he saw that it was very good. And evening passed, and morning came, marking the sixth day.
So what started all that? What did God do that started the whole thing? He spoke it. Okay? He spoke it. He obviously thought it prior, okay, but he actually spoke it. Do you think God really needed to speak it?
No.
Just thinking it probably could have done it, right? On God can make anything happen, right? But he spoke it, all right? And I think there's a meaning to everything that we learn in the Bible. There's a reason why specifically it said he spoke it. I think he was teaching us something, okay? Because I think we've learned over time in our school days and just over time that it's not only when we write something down or we think about it, okay? When we start to speak it to others, that brings it to life, right? That brings it to life. And here in these verses, actually that is life, right? That is creation right there. So thank you, Susie, for sharing that. So God has an idea, okay? And God can implement it, okay? What an amazing idea, right? Earth, man, woman, everything like that, the animals, the plants, just unbelievable what that creation is. So idea to implementation is where we want to get to, okay? Hacking, trust me, gets in the way of that timeline between idea and implementation. As you're hacked more, that line gets longer, okay? We want to shorten up that line so we can get as close as we can to God. We're never going to get there, right? Be as close as we can to God from speaking it to implementation, okay? We live in a world of distractions, and that's why we're here, okay? We live in a world of distractions. Most of us are not very successful at speaking something into existence, right? Not very much. Probably the closest we ever get, oftentimes, is when we're giving instruction to somebody else. All right. We know we've got somebody that implements things very well. I got my friend Corey sitting here, right here, okay? And I'm gonna pump Corey up, all right? Because I've known Corey now for 10 years. Corey Bott, sitting right here. I've known her for 10 years, and she is a great implementer, okay? And because when I ask and discuss with Corey a project, it's not instantaneous, even though she would love it to be, but it's pretty darn close. Corey is excellent at what she does, all right? And there's others in this room. Susie is very good at implementing. There's people in here, and you know who you are, whether you are or you're not, good as an implementer, okay? And that's what we want to achieve. But the distractions get in the way. So, which of you here consider yourself to be dreamers? Okay. Which of you consider yourself to be doers? Okay. Now, those of you that are both, all right, tend to be more the business people, tend to be more entrepreneurial, all right, tend to be those people that fit into that category more easily, okay? And so I'm a dreamer. I have ideas all the time. They hack me. The ideas that I get all the time kind of hack me, All right? Anybody virtually have that same issue? Your ideas even, not just social media and the things that we think about first, but actually ideas hack me. All right? And sometimes it's tough for me to shut them off. All right? But I am a doer. So I tend to then implement what I get, what I'm dead set on getting done. I tend to do it. Okay. And so what about you? Where do you fit in that category? Are you somebody that has the ideas, but you struggle to get them done? All right. Are you somebody that listens to other people's ideas and you're amazing at getting other people's ideas done? You know, so that's kind of a key thing as well. What can happen is there again, as I mentioned, we get ideas, and when we're hacked, we get into stagnation. Okay, we get into stagnation. There again, that freeze. We're not quite sure what to do next. All right. And that creates frustration within us too. And when we get frustrated, that even extends that line to getting it done even longer. All right. And that not only makes us less productive, but what else does that do? Depression and other things start to set in when we get frustrated and we don't know what to do to get things done. Those great ideas often never go anywhere because we get locked into that stagnation and that frustration. So this is a picture on the left of a healthy brain. Okay. And on the right side is an unhealthy brain, or partially, certainly a hacked brain. Okay. We need a healthy brain to realize our dreams. Okay? We need our brain to be operating at optimal functionality to be able to achieve what we want to achieve. Okay. We all have goals. Everybody in here has goals. Everybody in here has dreams. Okay. To be able to fulfill those to their end, we've got to keep our brain healthy, okay? We need to have good blood flow in our brain. And what you're seeing on the right side is greatly restricted blood flow, okay? And that creates stress, okay? Obviously, the brain on the right tends to look more like Alzheimer's when the brain just doesn't work as well as it can. Okay. And there are a lot of other things that cause this too, not just stress. When you're hacked, someone or something has gained unauthorized access of you. All right. Now you can equate that to a computer, right? You ever had software that's been hacked? That means someone or some bug, right, has gotten into your system and unauthorized access to your system and it's messing with you, right? And we've seen that. I mean, I've been hacked a number of times on my computer, okay? Where I've had to call a friend or call a tech or somebody like that and say, fix this, all right? I didn't maybe have the right protective software in, those kind of things. We got to do the same thing for ourselves. We got to create those protections within ourselves so that we don't get incessantly hacked, okay, throughout the day. Can you guys in this room and those of you virtually as well, think of ways right now to integrate the unhackability that we're going to be talking about in more depth here? Does anybody specifically think of ways, and this might have to do with what you put down for the next 30 days, but anybody in this room have some ideas of what you can do to change, okay? Possibly in the next 30 days. I know for me, I'm somebody that likes to respond immediately to text. This guy doesn't, okay? This guy doesn't, but he has become more unhackable than me, right? So he doesn't have an alert on his phone that the phone lights up and it maybe dings at you and those kind of things, right? To let you know you've got a new text, or to let you know you've got a new alert on Facebook, or to let you know whatever, an email that's come up, right? He's shut all of that off.
My phone's been on silence for over 3 years.
He's already there. I'm not there yet.
Not vibrate, silence for over 3 years.
I'm teaching this right now, and he's more ahead of it than me on this thing. And it's partly because through most of my life and most of my business success, part of what I love to be able to do is to be immediately available to people. Okay? That's a bit of a problem. Okay? So what I do is different than Doug. So Doug can completely shut that stuff off and not worry about it as much. In what I do, I have to be more available. So I think I can't completely shut things off, okay? And so that's what we need to work on. That's what we need to, and you're all sitting here today thinking, I can make some changes to some of these things that we're gonna get into, right? And what this is gonna do is it's gonna help me improve my business. It's gonna help me improve my mentoring or my coaching of others, okay? And it's going to improve my relationship with my family. Because when I leave work, when I leave those other things kind of behind at some point during the day, right? I want to go home and be available for my family. But you know, I've had many years where I wasn't. I would go home, and that was when I started just to shut down. Had all this going on during the day, and I go home and shut down. I don't want to deal with anything. I don't want to talk. I don't want to, and that's not good for my family, right? Because they want to hear what I did. I need to listen to their day, right? We need to communicate. But my problem is I would shut down. And so I was hacked throughout the day, and then it was tough on my family, okay? And so these are some of the kinds of things that we need to work on, in all part of the condition of our brain, okay? According to the World Health Organization, Gallup, and American Institute of Stress, okay? The average hacked brain, these are productivity results that are statistics from these three organizations. In an 8-hour workday, typically you're only getting 2.3 hours of work out of your staff and out of yourself. So think about a workday. You're paying people to work for you, right? You're hopefully trying to be productive yourself. And on average, across the country, and I'm sure this is probably across the planet, only 2.3 hours a day you're getting in good work day. Half of a day duplicate work per week. What does that mean? That means that you're wasting at least half a day where you're duplicating because you didn't do it right the first time, or you're not confident that you did it right, so you're thinking about it again, right? So you're reworking at least half a day a week, okay, to make sure that things are right. And it's because you're getting hacked. 36 emails on average, or 36 times, the average person is looking at their email 36 times an hour. How many minutes are in an hour?
60.
60. 36 times. And then not only are you checking your email, but then you're reading and you're responding to your email.
Right.
Okay? So think about how that's distracting you from that day. And you can quickly start to see how that reduces yourself to only being effective 2.3 hours in a day, okay? Typically, the average person gets 56 disruptions during the day. That might be a phone call, okay? It might be whatever, okay? Anything could be a disruption during your day. 56 on average during the day, okay? Oftentimes 36 hours of unnecessary meetings. I don't mean that in a day, okay? That's more in a week, in a month.
All right, I'm in. Wait a minute, let me call Keishana's back.
So in those situations, we got to watch our meeting time, okay? We've got to understand that our meeting time needs to be more productive. Who here hates meetings? Especially if you work in a corporation, okay, or you work in, lots of teams. What's the reason why we don't like meetings?
I think they're
They're what?
unproductive.
Unproductive, okay? Who else?
That's the main thing.
Main thing is unproductive.
Oftentimes you don't need to be
No
in it.
agenda.
Right, a lot of times you don't even need to be in it, right? You know, they invited 10 people thinking hopefully that if we got all these people in there, we're gonna come up with the right answer, right? And it usually ends up being a waste of time for part of the people that are in that meeting. Clear goals aren't set before the meeting, okay? What the result is of the meeting isn't set, okay? And so you're just in there trying to kind of figure out, why are we in this meeting? What are we supposed to do, right? That's hacking you during the day. That's eating up time. It's eating up productivity during the day. So you got to make your meetings better, okay? And another thing that this guy is very good at is trying to take time and get better focused on that time in those meetings. So Doug actually operates, those of you that are familiar, Entrepreneurial operating system and traction. Who's familiar with that? It's an operating system to successfully run businesses, okay? And so Doug's company runs on EOS, Entrepreneurial Operating System, okay? And weekly, and we do this with Noble, and we do this with a couple of our other companies that we're both associated with, we have weekly L10 meetings. Okay, not to get into detail and what the reason the name is, these names are for and all that kind of stuff. But what we do is we have a clear plan for each one of those meetings, and those meetings are supposed to finish within a certain period of time. And we're eliminating the chatter, okay? And you're eliminating a lot of those things that, of course, are distractions in the meetings. And now that we've started to implement these through Doug with our meetings, they have become more productive, okay? And so there's ways, and again, those of you that have issues with your meetings with yourself, meetings with your companies, meeting with your teams, if you can have any control over those, Doug would definitely be happy to help you with that.
L10 actually stands for level 10, that we give a score at the end. Everybody gives a score at the end on a scale of 1 to 10. How productive was this meeting? And so the idea is that meeting should be a 10 of everybody in that meeting. Otherwise, you have opportunity to continuously improve the meeting.
So going back to the previous slide again, the average person only has 11 minutes of focus a day. Is that shocking? Is that a shocking number? Okay. 44% of your distraction is self-inflicted, which means you're allowing yourself to be attacked by social media. You're allowing yourself to be distracted. I'm easily distracted. I'm one of those, I'm not completely squirrel, but I'm one of those people that's pretty close to squirrel, okay? Something pops up, I'm at least looking at it. I'm not necessarily chasing it, but I'm at least looking at it, and then to get refocused back on my screen and what I'm doing takes me a little bit of time to get because it's still kind of I wonder where that squirrel was going. You know, I wonder why that squirrel's here. You know, whatever. So I get distracted, and then it takes me time to get refocused. And if you add up all that time during the day, the statistics show 11 minutes a day of good focus time. Pretty unbelievable. Yes.
My dog, we got distracted by a squirrel and tried to jump over this thin fence. I had to lose one leg. So watch out for people getting distracted.
Yeah.
They had to remove a leg. Yeah, we've had him for 3 years, so it's our baby. What happens?
Welcome. Well, hopefully we don't get distracted and start chasing squirrels and jump over fences and lose a leg. Okay, but it's a very good point, right? It's a very good point of how distractions can cause not only mental distraction and damage, but also certainly physical. A life of distractions will never produce a life of meaning. So if you continue to allow yourself to be very distracted by all these things, all right, how can you have a life of meaning? you're not giving yourself the time or the focus to have a life of meaning, right? You're going to be so distracted that you want to get 20 things done in your lifetime. You're going to be lucky to get 3 of them done in your lifetime. Maybe you're going to get bits and pieces of others, right? But you're never going to complete anything the more you're distracted. So actually, Carrie Oberbrunner came up with that that slogan. Okay, so what's amazing? Okay, now think of this. What's amazing is that think about successful companies. Think about successful companies, small companies, large companies, and this kind of stuff's going on in the company. Yet we still have successful companies and we still have successful people, right? But nobody is 100% unhacked. Nobody. All right. Jesus Christ, God, the Holy Spirit, you know, and some other people maybe get pretty darn close, but nobody's 100%. Right. And so it's pretty amazing that we have so many companies, that we have so many people that are outstanding at what they do. If you think about it, that's pretty amazing. Okay. But there again, some companies are doing a better job of controlling their meeting times, okay? Of having clarity and having good results-oriented planning, you know, clearly communicating to their people. All those kind of things are better in some companies. And then some companies are just lucky, right? They're just lucky. Maybe they got just a bunch of good people, all right, that just happen to be doing a lot in those 11 minutes. Okay, but just think about this. If all of us just doubled that number, everybody that's part of your team just doubled that number from 11 to 22 minutes of focus a day, what we could accomplish. Okay, what we could accomplish at that time. Okay, what can be your ROI? So after talking about this today, what can be your ROI? If you spend these next 30 days, as we're talking about, on unhackability, and also maybe consider this, at least doing this with your leadership team. So if there's others that are part of an integral part of what you're doing on a daily basis, okay, maybe consider not necessarily your whole company in the next 30 days, right? That can be pretty challenging. Maybe you do something like that down the road if you've got a larger group of people. But if you've just got a leadership team of 2 or 3 or whatever, let's go ahead and get your whole team involved, all right? Or at least think about having you go through the process, but then dedicating and scheduling your time so that you get your team involved in short order. Because otherwise, you're going to then start implementing some things. You're going to start changing, and your team is not, and you're going to get frustrated by that. You're going to get frustrated by that. So you've got to bring your team along, all right? If you work closely with your family on things, maybe you start talking about this with your family. If you're really close at doing a number of things with your spouse or with your family, then you should be talking to your family about this as well, okay? It's going to make you, and it's going to make everybody else around you happier, okay, when you become much more productive, okay? So, the cost of being hacked. Average hacked person, okay, average hacked brain, 84% stress. That's pretty high. 67% burned out, okay? 67% disengaged, okay? 70% chronically disengaged. That's even worse, okay? 53% unhappy at work. That's not surprising. And 43% lack clarity. When you're getting hacked all the time, it's tough to be clear. It's tough to be clear on what you're doing. It's tough to be clear on where you're going, okay? And it's certainly tough to be clear on how you're going to achieve the results that you want to achieve, okay? So Do these numbers upset you? They should, okay? They should. And again, I'm just trying right now to get you to believe that this is something that you need to focus your time on, okay? Now, here's some differences. The average hacked brain versus the unhackable brain, okay? 6+ hours of flow per day is what we want to shoot for. And we're going to talk about flow in more detail here at the end, and then Doug's going to get into some things too that are going to be good with this, because Doug's my guy right here, okay? And those of you that don't know, Doug's my brother too, okay? So this is what pisses me off about It's not only that, he's 9 years younger than me, all right? He's 9 years younger than me, and he's better at all this stuff, okay? So it kind of pisses me off, all right? Not only that I text him, and I don't hear from him for hours, or even maybe that day, all right? But I know why. So it's just like, all right, well then emails, he does look at emails a little bit more, okay? So I tell people, all right, well, if you really want to get in touch with Doug, you want to probably email him. And then Susie was trying to get a hold of him later yesterday. She texted him and she emailed. I said, Susie, call him. Call him, okay? But you know what? That's what he does, all right? And he now is more unhackable, right? I am much more hackable, right? But you got to find that. So what pisses me off is I'm like, Doug, just look at your text a little bit more, you know? Look at it, you know, who it's from. Maybe a special alert that says, if Chaz is texting you, it's more important, okay? Let Chaz's text light your phone up or whatever. He laughs because he knows. He knows. Okay? So, but what we're shooting for is, instead of that 2.3 hours, we want to get into 6 hours of flow. Okay? Now, I haven't taught this unhackable for 2 years. So when I started to work on this again for this time, what I decided was I was going to rewrite how I was going to teach it. Okay, using the same basic principles and that kind of thing, but I was going to kind of rewrite. So all this week, and Susie knows this, and here poor Susie is trying to book appointments for me. Okay. And constantly, you know, throughout the week, you know, I don't know what our average is, but how many one-on-ones that we have, you know, that we do for Noble, plus all the other things that I'm doing with my other businesses and things like that. She's trying to book meetings for me, all right? Well, what I did at the end of last week, beginning of this week, every open spot I had, I filled. And she can't see what I'm filling it with, but I'm just filling it with nothing, right? Because I wanted to dedicate specific time to this. And I knew if I didn't, that I would have been in a frustration mode yesterday, because I would have been spending most of my time yesterday finishing this up, okay? But I had to schedule the time. And in addition to that, I schedule blocks of time, and then every 60 minutes, not exactly, I wasn't getting hacked by the clock, right? But approximately every 60 minutes, when I just felt that it was right, I stopped. I got something to drink. Went to the restroom. I maybe grabbed a little snack. I went outside almost every single time, except we did have some rain, but I went outside every single time and I rested. I relaxed. I gave myself some recovery time, okay? And then I checked my email. I checked my texts. I checked my social media. I got all that out of the way. So that when I went into my next hour, I wasn't distracted as much. So I prepped for my unhackable time, and it created more focused time for me. I got in flow as I was moving through. I went through, and that hour was probably 40 some minutes effective, because I was in flow. I was able to get done. I was able to absorb. I was writing. I was doing everything during that time. But I had to prepare myself for that, right? So I was doing what we're talking about today. All right? I was doing what we're talking about today. So we're trying to get to 0 duplicate hours. Okay, so that time that you are putting in on projects, that you're not having to go over it the next day to go, well, you know, I'm not really sure that I really researched that I really thought through that, to eliminate that time. Okay, here's more of Doug. Okay, check once per day your email. I don't know. I don't know that I can do that. Okay, I don't know. How many times do you check your email a day?
Actually, I hired somebody to do my email for me.
There it is. He hired somebody to check his email. So, and then how does that work? Do they just alert you when certain things are just critical, or?
What do I need to pay attention to?
Okay, well, there you go. He hired some. Now, how did you hire that person? That's a virtual?
Yeah, I hired a virtual assistant. So she's out of the Philippines and full time. You can get them as, you know, for as low as $7 an hour. Now a lot of AI assistants are coming out that like Microsoft has theirs, and so there's tools that are being developed for this. But yeah, I found that I was spending. Microsoft was actually telling me how much time I was spending in email, and it was usually over 4 hours a day that I was checking my email and just going through and deleting and figuring out what to respond to, which was basically hacking. And when I looked at how much is my hourly rate worth, that hiring a VA, if that's all they were able to do for me was just to filter my emails, pays for them.
Yep.
And gives me 4 hours a day of extra work. So Doug, approximately, because you get a good amount. Doug's a co-owner of a business, of one business, but then we're partners in a few businesses also, things like that. So Doug has a lot of stuff going on. Plus Noble and he's got a family at home that he takes care of and that kind of thing. Just to give us an example, okay, how much does that cost you on a monthly basis?
So the one that I got is actually $13 an hour. Because I struggle with people with accents. So she has no accent and so forth. So I pay a higher rate for that. So it's whatever, 40 hours a week times $13 an hour. But there's, no taxes on that. It's because it's, all out of country. So it's actually cheaper. So yeah, $2,000 a month to give me 4 extra hours a day.
Yeah, that's a business expense.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it's my
Absolute
company
business expense. So obviously get to that point, $2,000 in a multi-million-dollar company obviously can save quite a bit. Obviously, most of us in this room don't need full-time, right? Okay, you could probably get away with just something else.
They have 20-hour engagement. Honestly, a lot of the AI tools spend time looking at how to use. So Microsoft Copilot, if you're using Windows, is an amazing tool because it actually will learn as you're checking email, noticing what you're deleting, what you're paying attention to. That Copilot is actually constantly learning what you're doing, and we'll do a lot of that for you. The piece that Rhea, that my VA, she's also taking over my calendar. And like Chaz was saying, like getting time with me and those types of things was difficult for people. So now they email me, hey, I need to get time with you. She responds to that and we'll find the right times in the calendar, is understanding me, and we'll actually coordinate those meetings. Because actually I like meetings because I figured out how to have good meetings versus, ones that waste my time.
Good. Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Doug. Okay. So what do we have here? Fixed mindset versus growth mindset. Okay. Are we fixed in what we're going to do? Are we constantly thinking about how we can grow? And how do you do that? Okay. How do you do that? Are we self-oriented or are we idea-oriented? Are we thinking about self more or are we thinking about ideas? Okay. Do we seek entertainment? How much of our day are we seeking entertainment? And Facebook can be entertainment. Okay. Anything that stimulates you like that is entertainment. Or do we seek education? So what percentage of the day, week, month, are we seeking education? Okay. And Veronica, you've got slides there that are in front of you that in a packet that show each one of these slides. So yeah, just want to make sure. I didn't know you were writing every single thing down that was on there.
To write that.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we seek how much education we seek, and that's something that I was very weak at until maybe the last 10 years. Because there again, I'm more ADD, I'm more distracted. It's very difficult for me to read books, okay, and get much comprehension out of them. Because there again, while I'm reading, I'm thinking, okay, well, I gotta do this, and I gotta do this, and oh, my phone just alerted me to something. I'm constantly being distracted while I'm reading. So Audible and things like that have been much better for me. I'm much better at listening. I get much better comprehension out of listening. I even get more comprehension out of videos where I'm watching and listening, okay? And so I tend to watch more of those. So I love YouTube things or History Channel, things like that where I'm getting education, but it's in a very, very good format where I can watch it, listen. And then of course we all know when we can interact also is where the comprehension just keeps going up, okay? So seeks education, being more curious, okay? How many of you are really curious? There again, me, I wasn't that curious. I'd talk to somebody and I didn't ask many questions of people. And I've come to learn that asking questions, number one, builds relationships, stronger relationships, okay? And that's something that I've learned over time, but also you learn more. You learn more. We've got some very talented people in this room, okay? And we need to ask each other more questions. We need to take time in our networking and events like that to ask more questions. So not only can we build more stronger relationships with all of us that we have, but in addition to that, we can just learn more. I mean, networking events, I have 3 businesses now. Doug and I have 3 businesses now that came from a networking event. 3 businesses now. Okay. You see the Corvette out there when you came in? Okay. Doug and I now have 3 car businesses because of a networking event. Because I went to a networking event, I met an 18-year-old kid, and I started asking questions. I didn't just meet him and say, hey, boy, and, oh, you're a student at Ohio State University, and you're 18 years old, and, oh, your family's originally, from India, and your father died when he was 10, and then walk away from him. That's even there is a lot of information, right? But I stayed with him, and I kept asking questions. And he was detailing cars at the time, okay, to put himself through Ohio State University, okay? And that intrigued me. So I'm like, well, tell me more about, because I'm a car guy. We're car guys, okay? And so I'm like, tell me more. And he said, and so it got to the point where I said, hey, would you like to come and because I wanted to help him, right? I mean, his dad died when he was 10, okay? He's got a mom and he's got a sister. In the Indian culture, the male figure is the leader, okay? So here he's 18. He's kind of the leader of the family, okay? And so then I got that, once I got to know him more, I'm thinking, I want to help this young man. Well, how can I help him? Well, come detail one of my cars. I can pay you, to come detail one of my cars, all right? So I did, and one thing led to another, to where we became an investor in a dealership he ended up having. And then we ended up going into 3 businesses with Doug, me, and some other partners in the car business. Came from a networking event where I asked questions. 10 years before that, probably never would have happened because I wouldn't have asked the questions. Okay? And so being curious, more curious, okay, can change your life. All right? Change your life. Are we blown away by the wind? Or are we driven by a mission? That's big. Have you all thought about your purpose? What your purpose in life is? Noble's biggest thing that we focus in on is purpose. If you don't know what your purpose is, then please, okay, we've got a website. Thank you again to Corey, just help to build us a brand new website. Jeff Elder, who's on virtually with us. Thank you for Jeff for everything you've contributed. Megan, we've got so many people that are involved with Noble that have helped us to get to a new, refreshed, brand new website that we've got up and running. It's only been up for what?
Only a couple weeks.
Only a couple weeks. Okay, so check it out if you haven't been on the Noble website for a while. But we have a purpose. Noble has a purpose. Noble has a mission. Noble has, we've met for whole days to figure out what that is. That brings us clarity in the results that we're wanting to achieve. Okay? That brings us clarity. We wouldn't be able to be as successful as we are if we hadn't had dedicated that time. Okay? And there again, running those meetings like EOS does, okay, and being efficient with that day that we spend, or day and a half, or 2 days, or whatever we spend to accomplish the things we want to accomplish. And then there again, the L10s that we have every Monday at 4 o'clock, whatever it is. I just show up, okay? It's my calendar says show up. There you go. I don't even remember the time. I live by my calendar. So my calendar hacks me a little bit too. But the bottom line there is that we have a mission. And the reason why we have this many people in the room today, the reason why we have this many people virtually today, is that we're achieving results by the type of events that we have, by those things that we're doing to serve the community and to bring clarity to the business, the leadership, the business owner, the entrepreneurial community. We want to have that success. So we have to demonstrate it. So we have to demonstrate it. Okay. And thank goodness you're not just relying on me, because, you know, there again, I'm nowhere near him and being unhackable, right? So our organization needs to be able to demonstrate, and then you're attracted. People are naturally attracted to things that are working. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We tend to be attracted to things that are working. Okay. We tend to be distracted or repelled by things that aren't working. Does that make sense? We're like, I really don't want to be a part of that. Okay, they don't do things right. They don't even have clarity in what they're doing. It's just kind of a hodgepodge of things. And you know, I mean, you know what I'm talking about, right? And that becomes an issue. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
But I don't want to.
Okay. So that's the thing that we're trying to do. But to do that, you've got to have a purpose. And one of the pages that we have on the Noble website is to figure out what your purpose is. 99% of people in the world have never in depth thought about what their purpose is. How can you lead a fulfilled life if you haven't figured out what your purpose is? Satan doesn't want us to know what our purpose is. Satan wants us to be distracted every day. Okay? If you want to go up at your final days and hear, well done, good and faithful servant, you've got to fulfill a purpose. Okay? And to do that, we have to take steps like Unhackable to be able to help us get there and to help us be more efficient with our time. And that's my biggest worry now. That's what hacks me more today, is every day that I wake up and I realize that I'm wasting time still. Because I still love to watch TV. I still love to watch movies. Who likes to watch movies? Okay. And certain shows, you know, I can't wait for Yellowstone to freaking finish. How long have we been waiting for the last 10 episodes of Yellowstone? You know, they keep dragging that on. Well, that, you know, and then you buy products, I mean, that's what they want, right? That's what they want. They're distracting us all that time because we want it more, right? Does that make sense? Okay. But if you wake up in the morning, and I wake up, this is my prayer every single morning. I wake up and I say, Holy Spirit, put in front of me the things that I need to do to be successful, to be efficient, okay? And put the people in front of me that need help. To put the people in front of me that need me to be in front of, and then for me to be aware that they're there. and to ask the questions and give them the time and not just shake their hand and meet and say, oh, hey, how you doing? Pleasure to meet you, and move on. To ask a couple more questions, where then by asking a couple more questions, I'm finding out that this person's in need. They won't say it at the beginning, but sometimes you got to dig deeper to see if somebody's in need. Well, if my mission, part of my mission in life, and it is part of my mission in life, is to help people, I'm never going to find out if one of you needs help if I don't ask any questions, right? So that's all part of this. You're not going to find out what kind of business you potentially can have if you don't get yourself in front of people that know how to start a business, grow a business, overcome the challenge you are, if you don't ask those kind of people questions. And so how Noble helps with people like that is we have events like this, but then we also have one-on-ones. We did over 125 one-on-ones in 2023, averaging over an hour a time. 125 plus hours last year we spent on one-on-ones, sitting in a room like this with an individual or a small team or whatever, or on Zoom or whatever it was. We want to do, and it's all free. We don't charge for anything that we do. Okay, but that's part of our mission. That's what we do. Okay, and so I give now 70 to 80% of my time doing that, even though I have 7 organizations that I'm involved with. Right now, this is my most important thing because this is my mission. And if all of us get to the point where we understand what our purpose is, and you start dedicating more of your time focusing on that, then you're going to be much happier with what your results are. Okay, you're going to be much happier with what your results are. Yes.
I have a question for that. How do you rely on people to manage your agenda? I mean, I'm still thinking about it, like someone reading my emails and sending it and responding it, and it's great. It sounds great, but I just think for myself, like, how can I train somebody like to think just like me and sort my emails and ask me?
Well, that's a hurdle. Like that's the piece that, and I've gone to a lot of other entrepreneurs that have gone down this path of like, how do I onboard this person? Because I had no idea how to, and it's still a work in progress. So she's been working for me for now, like 2-3 months.
So a newer person that you got.
The VA that I have has been working with me for about 3 months, and I'm still onboarding her. But we have now meetings multiple times a week, and she'll ask me questions like, "What do I do with this email? What do I?" So as she's learning and taking notes, and then she comes to me and asks like, "Hey, what's is this something that I need to pay attention to?" And it's like, "Well, look for this is how I look for certain things." It's like some of the obvious things that people capitalize my name. Or if they call me Douglas, because all of my professional stuff, I go by Douglas, but anybody who knows me calls me Doug. So if somebody emails me and says Douglas, that's junk mail. They don't know me. And so like teaching her those types of filters of what I look for to eliminate that noise. And it's taken time. Like that has probably been my biggest hurdle, is that onboarding and teaching. She's doing a great job because that's like her, like that's what she's trained to do, is to, learn how to, make my life easier.
Good.
And she loves doing it. Like that's the amazing thing is because like you think about, a lot of, some of these VAs are, $7 to $14 an hour. And we think like, oh my gosh, like, how can somebody make a living? Well, in the Philippines, that's life-changing money. Life-changing money for them. So they're extremely loyal and very, very helpful because that is life-changing money. And the one filter that I did have when I was hiring somebody, and I told the VA agency that I work with, and I found a VA agency over there that was a Christian agency, and made sure in the interview process. Now, how many times can you in the United States interview somebody and make sure that they are a Christian? Like, you can't do that. Like, that's a HR violation. You get sued for that. But that was one of the nice things with a VA is, no, it's like, I need somebody who aligns with my core values, and had that conversation, and that was part of the interview process.
This segue's perfect. Okay, he said the right thing. why do work with others, or why do work others should be doing for you? That changes your life right there. Why do work others should be doing for you? Okay. And so it's an investment in yourself to realize what frustrates you. And there again, we're going to offer this. Every one of you is going to be sent a link. We didn't send it out yet, did we? For Working Genius. Oh, we did? Who completed the Working Genius? Okay, everybody. That costs $25. We pay for that. Well, Doug paid for it again. But Doug paid for it. He hasn't sent me a bill yet to know.
It's a tax write-off.
It's a tax write-off. All right. Folks, I'm serious. Working Genius, do it. Number one, you're getting it for free, and it's $25 to do this. Who did it again? Who did the Working Genius? What did you find out from that? Just give us a summary if you remember.
I found out my strengths and what I need to improve and how can I work with people. And also I understand, because we all made it and we read it in the way coming here. So I started to understanding his behavior, his goals and mine. So like working as a team.
And the other thing is that tool is very accurate.
Yeah. He was like, oh my gosh.
30 questions, right? 30 questions, and it pegs you pretty good if you're honest. You got to be honest with your answers, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So what that tells us right there, what you're good at, what you should be spending your time on, and what frustrates you. And there again, Doug can talk about this a lot more. What frustrates you? You know, if there's things that frustrate you, okay, that's when you should be finding partners, investors, people that you hire, whatever, to do those things for you, not just to be unhacked from your email, but also unhacked from the things that you're not good at, that naturally frustrate. Susie knows I'm not a detail person. Oh, thanks, John. John obviously knows I'm not a detail person either, right? And you know what? You know, but who in this room is a detail person? Raise your hand, John. Yeah. Okay. There are people who love detail, and there are people who hate detail, right? And that's what we need to do. There again, I go and I meet with students all the time. I have the honor to be able to go into middle schools and high schools and share with students. Okay. And I take that very, very seriously. Okay, very seriously. And when I go in, some of the things that I teach students, okay, are to focus on those. You guys are hacking me right now. You're hacking me right now. Sorry. So, and see, I lost my train of thought. So, but the bottom line is, okay, that we need to figure out at a young age, and you can figure it out right now, okay, and change your life. Figure it out at a young age, what your frustrations are, and stay away from those kind of jobs. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, how many people do you know that are in jobs and they hate it?
Yeah.
But they got into it because it was the first job that accepted them. It's paying the bills, okay? They're making their mortgage, hopefully. They're making their, their car payment, hopefully. Hopefully they're making all those things, okay? But they're not happy. Well, why are they not happy? Because it's in their frustration. And that's what this assessment that we've given you to be able to take tells you. Stay away from these things. Focus on these things. Find people that love. You guys all raise your hand at being detail people. These are the people, and that's why I work with John. That's why I work with Corey. That's why I work with other people in here, because they do the things that I'm not good at, and Noble needs those people, right? You got to figure out in your team who does what well, and you need all those pieces. Whenever you're missing a piece, then your organization is not going to be successful, or as successful as it can be, right? So when you start putting these pieces together, it makes a big difference.
And share it with other people.
Yeah.
So on Zoom calls, people see will see my name, but they also see my working geniuses and my Colbys. In the title on my Zoom calls, they see it on my LinkedIn. I actually clearly publicize it so that way people know, oh, Doug's a wanderer and inventor. Doug's is a mid fact finder, but high quick start. I know how to deal with Doug. I know what's important to him. And then by me seeing that in others, I know what's important to them and able to then communicate and relate to them.
Is that in your signature or?
It's in my signature. It's oftentimes in, it's like my teams, and I try to, we try to clearly make sure that is shared in our company so that we know when we're in meetings, people in meetings, I can be in a project meeting, project management meeting, and people are like, Doug, don't bring your wonder and invention to this meeting.
Shut up, Doug. All right, so when you've heard somebody hustles, has that typically meant you thought that was good? Doesn't that usually mean if they hustle, or like an athlete, if you're a hustler, whatever it's actually not. It's actually not by studies. Hustle is not productive. Being intentional is productive. Okay, I get myself in hustle modes. Okay, especially because I tend to do things closer to the last minute. Okay, and I've become very good at it. I'm going to be 62 here in a few months, and just over time, I've become good at hustling. So I'm productive to a degree in hustling. But what I realize is being intentional, I'll be stronger and I'll be able to achieve the things that I want to better. Okay, by being more intentional. So instead of being reactive, who here tends to be reactive? Who here who's in a routine? You're good with my wife is like this, and this isn't negative because she's got amazing strength, but she likes having just a regular routine day. Okay, and so when something comes up, she's reactive. Okay, well, being reactive is there again. That's a hack. All right. Strategic means that you're thinking more about how you can be hacked and how you deal with it. Right? Okay, so when you're hacked, there again, okay, put things down, go outside, relax, put yourself in a state where you can deal with that hack a little bit better, right? Instead of getting all frustrated, what am I going to do? My wife calls me, whatever those kind of things, it's being strategic about it, okay? You're time focused, which I can be too much, rather than results focused. Okay, I live by my calendar. Totally live by my calendar. If I didn't have my phone with me, I'd be like, I have no idea what I'm doing next. No idea what I'm doing next. Okay, and so I need more of the VA, right? That kind of helps me throughout my day. Hey, Chaz, you've got this coming up in an hour or whatever. So I'm not constantly then looking at my phone to see my calendar. Number one, I'm getting older and I'm getting more forgetful. So I'll look at my calendar 15 times a day to remind myself, what actually am I doing at 4 o'clock? I know I've got a 4 o'clock meeting, but I have to look at the clock or the calendar 4 times a day just to remind me, okay, that's what I'm doing at 4 o'clock. Okay. So what do I need to prep for that? What do I need to do to this? So I hack myself with my own calendar, okay? And another thing is who says busy all the time? I'm busy, Now I try very hard not to even use the word busy, okay? I want people, when somebody asks me, well, what was your day like yesterday? Oh man, I was busy. It was a busy day. I had 7 Zoom meetings and this kind of, and then they look at you and they go, yeah, okay, well, how productive is he? How results oriented is he? Instead, now I reply, I try not to use the word busy. Now I say, you know what? I had 7 really good Zoom meetings, 2 people I was really able to help with starting a business and get through a problem. Then what does that person think of you then? The results. Results oriented. And then do they want to get involved with you and get involved with your organization and those kind of things? Absolutely. Right? You have a point?
Yeah, the acronym BUSY is being under Satan's yoke.
Oh, there you go.
Wow.
There you go. All right. Couldn't have said it better than that. Thank you.
Moving on.
Thank you.
Moving on.
All right. Okay. I love this. I love this, and this fits me perfectly. Okay. Use your brain to think, not to store. I'm not somebody that memorizes things. I'm not a detail person. So I'm not somebody that wants to store information. I want to keep moving on and fulfill my goal, get my results. That's my strength. Okay. I want other people to focus on the details and the research and those kind of things, because I'm constantly focused on the result. I'm constantly focused on the solution. I'm constantly focused on the next great idea. Okay. That's me. So in this situation, that's good for me. Okay. That's good for me that I am not a store of information. Don't come to me and say, well, what happened in 1936 in the United States? I'm like, that's what my phone is for now, right? That's what your phone is good for. You've got all the information in the world at your fingertips on your phone. So I'm very good at saying, okay, hey, you deal with that, or you deal with that, or whatever, because I am good at that. I am good at being a thinker, a problem solver, a solution-oriented person. I'm not good at storing information, okay? And if you are good at storing information, what TV show do some of you watch that is awesome, that you watch on TV where that these people store a ton of information? Jeopardy, exactly. Right? Those people know everything about darn near everything, right? I'm like, how did that person know that? But they study it. But in reality, and I'm not saying anything negative, about them, but how can they be problem solvers and idea people and whatever when they're filling their brain all day long with that stuff? But hey, they're winning championships, they're on TV, that kind of stuff. So I guess that makes them happy. But, but if we're going to be more successful in fulfilling our purpose, we need to be thinking more about ideas, okay? Thinking more about ideas. All right. So, what if you had the power to create ideas and implement them effectively? What if you were able to architect your attention and invest in the things important to you? What if you knew how to find and utilize the needed resources to accomplish your dream? Or purpose? What if you understood how to exponentially increase your impact upon the world? There's the star one right there. Okay. What if you understood how to exponentially, I just said that. What if you organized your life around flow, where you feel your best and you do your best? Okay. Became unhackable. Okay. Became unhackable. The hack attack. Identify the conspiracy. So, a lot of us, we're in control. This is the problem with business owners. Problem with entrepreneurs. We want control. Who here is big on control? Okay. The problem with that is really I'm not in charge. Really, you're not in charge. Okay. You're there to make decisions. You're there to move things forward, but you're not in charge. Okay. That's when you're hacked. Okay. Clarity. You're confused. If you're getting hacked, you're confused. Okay. Confidence. I'm not good enough. Who has some of those issues? I'm not good enough. Right. And I know this guy. He raises his hand at any similar question like this, but I know he is. Okay. That's the thing. But inside, he doesn't know he is sometimes. All right. But I know the quality of work that this man does. Okay. But where does that come from? It comes from youth. It comes from a teacher that said it one time. It comes from a parent that maybe wasn't fully supportive all the time. So we have these things inside of us that cause these issues, and we can get over them. You can get over them. Okay. Confidence. I'm an imposter. I'm not really what you think I am. Okay. There's your confidence. Insight. I have no inner vision. Okay. Influence. I have no effect on others. Trust me, you do. Trust me, you do. I've started working with a coach for the last 3 months, And some of you know that I've asked you this question. A few of you are either online here, whatever, and I called you and I said, what comes into the room when I arrive? What comes into the room when I come into the room? Okay. Have the guts to ask some people that question. I didn't want to call. As a matter of fact, I told the coach, I'm like, well, I called 2 people, but everybody else I called, they didn't answer, whatever. She goes, all right. She goes, we're stopping our time right now. You're going to call people right now. Okay. And I did. Okay. And I did. But you know what it told me? It told me what people see in me that I don't see in myself. Or it confirms about what I think people think of me. Okay. So try that. And I'll give Susie the exact wording because I didn't use the exact, my coach gave me the perfect wording on when the person answers the phone, what you say, and can I ask you a couple questions? And I'm going through a little, thing right now. But I'll tell you, it told me things that I needed to hear. Because what that told me is that I have greater influence than even I thought I had. Because people told me what my influence was. People told me, well, you're a leader. People told me, that you're a kingdom guy. People told me that I have influence. People told me those things. And when I heard that, I'm like, oh, okay, great. Now I'm more confident going out to help other people, whatever, because that's what people see in me. All right. And when you have more confidence, you can change the world better, right? Okay. So influence is big. You need to understand what your influence is. Impact. Obviously, you want to have great impact, and that comes from a lot of it comes from impact. Okay. Income. Okay. We all struggle with that. And that's one thing that we talk about. We do a one-on-one with any of you, and there's a sign-up sheet for that in the back. And not only is it with me, but we've got Jeff Elder on here, and we've got others, Rob Kopp, who couldn't be here today, spending some time with some family. But we've got people, okay, that do one-on-ones with you and that we connect you with and those kind of things. And one of the first questions we have is, how's your finances? It's tough to be a stronger leader. It's tough to be a new business owner. It's tough to be anything when you're being hacked by your finances, okay? It's tough to be a business owner. It's tough to be a leader. It's tough to be an entrepreneur. It's tough to start new businesses if your relationships at home are not good, okay? So we have to understand that, and we're gonna maybe direct you to, not that I'm a specialist in home relationships or I'm a specialist in fixing finances or whatever, but you know what we do? We connect you with somebody that will help you, okay? So then we can get you back on track to starting that business. Don't start a business if your finances aren't in order. A new business is not going to improve your finances if your finances are not already in order. Trust me, it's going to make it worse. It's going to make it worse. You've got to get yourself in order, or unless you're lucky. Unless you're lucky. There again, luck, all right? But income's a big part of that, all right? And your relationships is another thing. If things are struggling at home for whatever reason, you got to figure that out, because trust me, you jump in both feet with a business, you jump in both feet with becoming a new leader of an organization. Maybe it's somebody else's organization, but you're a leader in it, okay? The time you need to dedicate in that is going to take away from your time with your family. And if you're already having struggled relationships, you better work on those relationships while you're starting this new business or while you're becoming a leader of something. Otherwise, guess what happens? That's why we've got such a high divorce rate or problems, is because people don't fix these situations before you add new things to your life, okay? All right, identity, who am I? Okay, think about those things. Control, clarity, competence, confidence, okay? Resources, what I have, okay? Insight, I have no inner vision, okay? Well, let's help you with that. Influence, I have no effect on others. Trust me, you do. Trust me, you have influence over other people. Trust me, you do, okay? Impact, I have no credibility, okay? Well, let's help you with that. Income, let's connect you with people. We have people that we can connect you through Noble to help you with these things if it can't be me and some of the others that are involved in the one-on-ones. We have people that can help, okay? And that's what we want to do. We want to put you in a position where you're more successful, okay? Hacked, what's the cost? What's the cost? Relationships are cost. Relationships are affected by being hacked. Your peace, just being at peace. Okay? If you think about that, how many minutes, I'm not even talking, let's talk seconds and minutes. How many minutes a day are you truly at peace? Think about that. We fill our day with so much, and we think that's all good, but we don't give ourselves time to just be at peace, to be with God. Okay? Success. Okay? Success is definitely hacked by the lack of success is definitely a hack. Health, it affects our health. Just think of the picture of the brain that I showed you, right? That's just your brain. That's not including the rest of your body, okay? What hacks me, I get hacked during the day and I go eat more, right? And then I get something done and then I go reward myself, right? By going and, that's my hack. It's one of my biggest hacks, okay, is health, okay? Freedom. Freedom's a lot of things. Freedom to do things. Freedom to, just freedom, okay? Purpose. It's tough to fulfill your purpose when you're getting hacked all the time. Finances, legacy. What kind of legacy are you leaving behind? When you leave, what are people going to say about you at your funeral? Okay? I want people to say, that person helped me. That person did this. That person made a difference. That's what I want people to say. I don't want to have a life where they just said, he's a nice guy. I want more than that. I want to leave something more than that, One thing that I'm focusing on right now, I don't want to leave my kids money. A lot of people focus on that. They're putting money away. They're doing this kind of stuff. I don't want to leave my kids money. I want to help my kid take money that I have now. I want to help my kids start businesses so that they make their own money. That's what I'm doing with her now. I've got one daughter that's been working full time with me since 2020, or since January of 23. All right. I've got another daughter now because she's having number 2 grandson for us here in October. Yay. Okay. And so she wanted a little more freedom. She loves to work, but she wanted a little more freedom. So I went to her and I said, you want to help us in one of our car businesses? She's like, yeah. So now I got both daughters working for me. So now I'm helping them to build their future. Not that they're not successful already. Both of them are successful. Both of them, were, good jobs, making good money. Not that they weren't already, but you know what? I want to invest in them. Right? And what better ways to invest in them is to teach them how to be leaders, teach them how to be business owners, and then teach them how to be entrepreneurial so they have multiple businesses. And then teach them how to teach their kids how to do that. That's a true leader.
Right.
That's a true leader. Not that just you are a leader, but you've taught a leader, and that leader has taught another leader. That's a true leader. You're not a leader until you've made a leader, and that leader has made another leader. Then you're a leader. Then you're a leader, okay? I'm trying to do that with my daughters, okay? So I'm trying to leave a legacy with them. And then just joy. I get joy out of seeing that with my daughters. I get joy out of seeing, Corey, I connected her with a job that she was with for 9 years. And just through a whimsical text in November, December.
Well, we spoke it. We were talking about that earlier. We spoke it, and then it started happening.
Yeah. So she's at a hockey game. I gave her tickets to Blue Jackets game. We started texting, okay? And I'm like, just out of the blue, and this is a God thing. Just out of the blue, I thought in my head, Corey, and I texted this to Corey. I'm going to steal you back one day. She's so good at what she does. I'm going to steal you back someday. She immediately responded within 30 seconds, says, I'm ready. 9 years she's been with an organization. I'm ready. I just shocked me. She was very happy at what she was doing, but she was ready. Okay. And look now, now we've helped her start her own business. She's got her own business now. We've helped her to get clients. She's a client of Noble. She's a client of 2 of our other businesses. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got this amazing person, and what joy that brings me to see her go from being a college student where she was an intern for me to now where she owns her own business. She's got more of her, she's fulfilling her dream, okay? And now she's doing work for us, outstanding work for us, but also she's creating other clients. And eventually she's going to have other employees, and she's going to have a nice, successful company as she moves along. So, attention. Marketers are trying to get your attention. That makes sense? Is that hitting y'all? Okay. Marketers no longer focus on getting a sale. Marketers no longer focus on getting a sale. Now it's about getting your attention and keeping it. Okay? So, what's Facebook all about? They're trying to get your attention ever since the beginning. Remember, if you saw the movie or if you read the book or whatever, he said, I don't want to turn this into a ask for money kind of thing. He wanted to build up the universe of participants in Facebook first. Now, what do you see all the time on Facebook? Ads. He wanted to draw everybody in first and have it work, have you be, needing to see who likes your stuff and all that stuff that builds your adrenaline all day long because, I got 20 people that like this. I've got 100 people that like this. I've got 50 people who made comments. That pumps you up, but it's fake. It's like sugar high. You get it? You feel awesome for about how many seconds? And then all of a sudden, boom. It's fake. It's not real. Okay? But that's what marketers do. They're getting your attention. And that's hacking you. All right? So they're doing everything possible to attract you. And so what is Facebook? How does Facebook make a ton of money? They sell your clicks, your likes, what you click on, is like a lot of other companies do. They sell that to marketers. That's how Facebook makes money. They don't make any money on you, right? No, it's all free. And remember, that was one of the things that he said at the very beginning when people were coming to him, well, we got to start making money on this. He said, no. That's not how we're going to make money. He was smart. Okay, he was a smart guy. I think he's kind of a jerk, but he's a smart guy. Okay, but the bottom line is in that situation, he knew what was going to make him the money. And it wasn't selling a dollar app or selling little things to you along the way. It was selling who you are and what you like and what you click on and those kind of, that's what he sold. And marketers pay like crazy for that kind of stuff, right? And so that's actually, and then that leads to a sale. There's a lot of things that I see on Facebook that I go buy. How many of you bought something from seeing an ad on Facebook? I'd say I buy something at least 2 or 3 times a month seeing something on Facebook because they know what I like. They're putting those things. You might not see what I'm seeing, but they know what I want to see, right? They know what I want to see. They're watching you. They're watching you. And that's your attention. They're buying your attention and you're getting hacked while they buy your attention. Okay?
They're actually listening to you.
Yeah.
That's true too. That's true too. Yeah.
I've got a great voice. It's awesome. They get to listen to me.
Hacked people are impressed with other people's knowledge. This goes back to what I was saying about storing information. You sit in front of somebody that could regurgitate a bunch of it. Doesn't that impress you? But there again, we're getting back to storing rather than ideas. Okay? Storing rather than ideas in the Jeopardy thing. Use your brain to think, not store. That's edgy. That's edgy. Okay? So how can we use our brain to think more and not store? Okay? Use your phone for tech. That's a good thing that you can use your phone for. That's not a hacking thing. Use your phone to get the information that you need. Okay? That's a good thing. But don't let the tech hack you throughout the day. You guys familiar with cognitive load? Cognitive load. Okay? Your brain has cognitive load. It's like lifting weights. Okay? You can only lift so much. And even after you can't lift for a while, you get fatigued and you can't lift anymore. So your brain can only handle so much cognitive load, right? Throughout the day. And you get fatigued. And what happens when you get fatigued? When you get fatigued, you're not productive. Okay? So just think about you, or just think about your worker. Think about, and this is probably more of a picture. You think about the person that's working at, ice cream shop or something like that. How many times does that 18-year-old kid check their phone? Okay. Now they're over here making ice cream and whatever, but then they get a little lull in the line of, people wanting to buy ice cream and they're checking their email, they're checking their, Instagram, they're checking all of those kinds of things. And think of all that load that is coming into their brain. And so if you're working an 8-hour day, gosh, 2, 3, 4 hours, halfway into your day, you're so filled up with all that hack, okay? Obviously, then that's why, the end of the day, you're worthless, right? Because you're not focused on your results for the day and the company that you're working for. You're so distracted with all the other things that are done. Your business is, the company you're working for is not getting your time. No wonder the state of Ohio, do you guys realize this happened last week? The governor of Ohio signed legislation that said students can't have their phones in school anymore. Did you know that happened? Dublin City Schools has been doing it for a year. So actually they had representatives from Dublin City Schools. They've already been doing this for a year. Students can't have their phones during school now. They have to keep it in their locker or whatever. I don't know. The schools have to implement it, okay? But they realized, finally, they realized that they can't rely on the students or the parents to keep the kids from being on their phones all day long and being distracted. I mean, why are our kids at school? They're supposed to learn, right? But all day they're being hacked. And not even thinking about the hacking that they're getting from their relationships, right? This person said this about me and, and all those kind of things, that's tough to avoid, right? Because that's just going to happen. But then you add all the social media and all the other stuff that's on your phone too. How can your kids learn? No wonder the United States keeps dropping in, what we are in English in the world and what we are in math in the world, because we allow our kids to be distracted, right? And so now the state of Ohio, so it's going to start implementing, I think it's mandated by, I think it's a year or 2 years or whatever, that all schools have to have a full written plan and a whole thing like that where students cannot carry their phones anymore in school. Flat out. Okay? Just happened in Ohio. And I'm sure it's happened in some other states, and I'm sure it's going to, continue to grow because we're realizing that we're hacking our kids. And what are we teaching them at a young age, right? We're setting them off on the wrong path at a very, very young age.
Good thing it doesn't happen in the workplace.
Yeah, so we're setting up poor employees to begin. Here we're taking them through school to make them productive, good employees, and we're teaching them how to be hacked from the beginning. Oh, think about this. Think about this. This is another problem for me. Yeah, I'm pretty transparent today. So you sit down at your desk. How many of you have a messy desk? How many have a crystal clean desk? That's my wife. My wife's desk is so perfect when she's done. Before she leaves her work or whatever, everything is clean, put in drawers, put away. My desk is messy 90% of the time. Okay. When you sit down at your desk and it's messy, you're hacking yourself. Because, okay, well, gosh, my mouse is over here, but I've got a couple papers right there. So I got to move them out off to the side and, this kind of thing. And I'm hacking myself before I even start to try to focus on what I'm focusing on, right? Then, get this. Okay, who's this? I open up my desktop on my computer, and what's across the bottom?
Notifications.
Apps. All the apps are across the bottom. Your email, your this, your that, your alerts, all that kind of stuff, and it's up all the time. But guess what you can do? You can hide those to where you have to take your cursor down to the bottom of your desktop. Then that comes up. But if you've got that up all the time, so it's a selection, if you've got that up all the time, you're going to see the alerts coming up. You're going to see you got a new email. You're going to see those alerts, okay, which he's turned off, right? So basically then hide them. Hide the bottom of that. How many of you on your desktop have folders all over the place? I have things in my folders. The problem is I have 50 folders and they're covering up my whole screen. That hacks you because you look at that and you become frustrated. You look at that, I'm like, holy crap! Look at all this stuff that I've got. So it's almost like you're hacking yourself at every single step of your day. Okay? And it's taking step by step to slowly start to clean those things up. Slowly start to close things down. You realize this? Who's been in a grocery store recently? In the last month? Not all of you? Okay. You know how many products that are in a grocery store? Over 10,000 in the average grocery store products. All right. Do you realize when you walk up and down aisles, your subconscious sees every single one of those products? Every single one. You don't. Your conscious doesn't. You're looking for the Fritos, or you're looking for the bread, or you're looking for what? Your subconscious sees it all. Cognitive load. Your brain can only handle so much in a day. So if you're just walking up and down aisles, you're filling that, and it makes you less productive the rest of the day. Does that make sense? So Carrie has a good friend. He shares this. Carrie has a good friend. It's kind of like Doug in this situation. He has not been to a grocery store in 3 years. So what does he do? He orders online and he shows up. You know, Kroger and some of these stores, you pull up to that little lane and then you just will do whatever. I don't have done. You just do whatever, and then the person that comes out in the cart and it's already paid for because your credit card's online. And they bring that and they fill up your back of your car, and then you drive home. Well, that's one way to eliminate those 10,000 things that you would have gone if you'd have gone in the store. 3 years, this guy's been doing that. He also has signed a power of attorney. So for renewing his driver's license, for renewing his plates, which actually you can do online now too, but he has a power of attorney with it, and the power of attorney goes and does things for him. So he's eliminated a lot of his daily, weekly, monthly distractions, which is your cognitive load. Okay? So he's eliminating these things. So there again, I'm throwing these out because these are all things that we can start thinking about how to replace. Okay? 50% or more of your day can be in flow. That's a goal. Okay? 50% or more can be in flow. Okay? And that should be our goal. Where you are now is you, and who here took the unhackability assessment? Okay? Please take that. That's going to be helpful. It's going to give you a percentage. Okay? So mine, my overall score is 87, so it's actually better than I think. Maybe I lied on a couple of these things. I don't know, because I don't really think I'm an overall 87%. Okay, but action steps. So ideas, I'm 97%. Does that make sense? Now that you've heard me, that that ideas are 97. I'm getting a 90. So I'm really good with having ideas. Okay. Oh, focus is my worst. 79%. 79% is my focus. And then flow score, I'm 85. So actually, I was kind of surprised by my flow score, but I wanna be better. Okay, so that hackability, and that's a free one too. I mean, that doesn't cost us anything anyway. But take that. That's going to help you understand, and then it gives kind of a description under each one of kind of what your issue is, right? So take that. Go back and take that. Okay. And hopefully then you're going to be able to start getting yourself in good and get yourself in more flow. Okay. But this is going to be a struggle. It's going to be a struggle for you to start moving forward with this. Okay. But you need that. A lot of people stop and freeze with struggle. Okay. A lot of people, the majority of the people in this country freeze, and we talked about this earlier, when you face a struggle. Okay. And that's why they never achieve flow. That's why they never achieve unbelievable success. Your greatest superpower athletes overcome struggle. They overcome fatigue. They overcome, twisted ankles. They overcome all those kind of things. They keep going. Okay. They're able to do that because what they need and what they found out, you need passive recovery. You need that downtime. Okay. And so who in here considers themselves to be an overachiever? Type A, overachiever. Okay. Don't be afraid to raise your hand, but a couple of you raise your hand at least. Okay. Overachievers tend to also overtrain. That's hacking yourself. You know some people that are like athletes and they're always running. They run like 5 times a day. They work out 3 times a day. Okay, they're not giving themselves enough recovery. So they may achieve, okay, but then they're going to burn out. They're going to have those negative issues that are going to come along with it. You got to give yourself recovery time. Okay, that's a problem with overachievers. So it's great to be an overachiever, but the problem is you got to also work on the recovery as well. Okay. Ideas. We want to have more ideas. Okay, we want more. Don't change the world. Ideas don't change the world. Perfect ideas do. I talk to more people that want to go into business that have an idea. The problem is they haven't thought it through. They haven't challenged themselves to go research it. Is there any other competition out there? Somebody else is doing it. And in many instances, that's a good thing that there's competition. But sometimes maybe it's not. Okay? You want to develop perfect ideas. Okay? But you can't do that if you're getting hacked. Okay? You can't do that if you're getting hacked. Imagine dissecting the perfect idea. Okay? Mastering the idea. The mechanics behind the idea. The engineering behind the idea. Okay? Don't just come and share an idea. Okay? That's like the typical person that comes in and they complain. Okay? You know anybody that's a complainer? Right? They come in and they complain, they haven't thought about the result. See, my wife comes in, again, I'm not picking on my wife, but
This is recorded.
yeah. My daughter's on, no, but my wife will complain about something. Is anybody listening here? My initial thing is I want to solve the problem.
Fix it, yeah.
I want to fix it. That's kind of a typical guy, right? But it's women and men. It's all, but I want to fix it. She doesn't want me to fix it. She wants me to listen, right? And be sympathetic and those. I'm like, damn it, I don't want to hear the same complaint 3 times in a week. I want to fix the dang thing, right? Okay? So that's the process. So we have to learn that, right? We have to learn that. But then also, I need to learn more empathy. I lack empathy. So I need to listen and not be so, and here's my daughter, is my daughter on there, Megan? That's one of the things she told me when I said, what walks into the room? She's like, Dad, she goes, I just want you to listen more and not jump in and try to solve. I'm like, okay.
I'll try.
I'm trying. Okay. I'm trying, Megan. I'm trying, Megan. But that's what we need to do. We need to, every one of us has some great talents that they're great talents, but they also can be negative to those talents, right? They're again like an overachiever and not taking downtime. And those, it's all of that. You've got to think about how you can constantly improve with your ideas.
She said she's seen improvement. It was
Oh,
a
good.
distraction, but I wanted you to know.
Oh, yeah, it's in the chat. It's in the
Thank you, Megan. Well, see, that gives me a little hope, right? Hopefully she loves me a little more, wants to be around me a little more, that kind of thing. Okay, so let's see, what do we got here? Recognize these ideas. I have a dream. Did that speak to the country? I have a dream was narrowed down from a huge idea down to 3 words. No, 4 words, sorry. I have a dream. And what effect did that have on the whole country? Okay. The Sermon on the Mount. Okay. The effect that had at that time. A man on the moon. Wow. I mean, the technology that was needed to do that. I mean, how many missiles, how many rockets went up and exploded? Wow. But then also they put a deadline on it. They put a deadline on it. You don't put a deadline on something, the hacking's just going to it's going to take you forever, never going to accomplish it. Those are just 3 of many, many, many things where, in our country, obviously near the beginning of time, these words meant something. They meant something, and something was able to be accomplished. So whatever you're going to do, there again, you need to speak it. You need to speak it. You need to go to other people and speak, and then listen. Listen to them. Is what clarity you're saying, is it resonating? Is the person hearing it and then responding the way you want it to be responded to? right? If they're not responding the way you want it to be responded to, okay, then your message isn't right. You got to go to a Corey, you got to go to a Jeff Elder, who's great on clarity. You got to go to somebody like that and say, you know what, I'm struggling with my clarity. It's tough for me to take this idea and narrow it down to a sentence or 30-second elevator pitch, okay? And that's what with our Noble Academy class that we're going through right now. It's taking your idea, those of you that are in Noble Academy right now, taking that idea that you've got and being able to communicate it in as few words as possible so the person goes, oh, I get it, and wow, I like it, or wow, I want to know more, or wow, I want to buy it, right? Okay, so that's where we are. That's where you want to try to be.
One point to add to that is actually then taking action on that. So a lot of people don't realize this, that when you say you're going to do something, like I'm going to build this company or I'm going to execute on this idea, that you get the same dopamine hit in your brain as if you actually did it. And that's where people easily get hacked, because you just talking about it, you get a positive sensation out of just talking about it. And that hacks us from actually doing it. So take the action on that. Don't take that dopamine hit and just keep dopamining yourself and just talking about it to actually do it.
We're trying to achieve focus. Ideas, then you got to have focus. You got to get yourself time to focus, and that's where you got to be unhacked to get focus. Just like I did the last week, where I scheduled time, I scheduled breaks, I scheduled recovery, I scheduled those kind of things to be able to get the focus I needed to be able to achieve what I wanted to achieve. Okay, your unconscious mind, there again, what he just said, process 4 billion bits of information a second. Okay. The conscious mind processes 40 to 200 bits. Okay. There again, you can get cognitive, issues throughout the day if you're not taking care of yourself. The whole world is against me. Nothing ever goes my way. I failed like I always do. I'm a loser. Okay. Okay. You got people in the world that are like that. And here are those ideas that are in their head that could potentially cure cancer, potentially be the next great product, will never come to fruition because those kinds of things are hacking them. So it's not just technology. It's not just the things immediately around it. It's our past. So there's a lot of people in here like me who has to deal with some of those kind of things that I've been dealing with my whole life, right? So you got to be honest about those kinds of things, right? Okay. So what we're trying to do is open your mind's eye, and you'll see everything you need to implement your idea. Don't focus on attracting into your life what you want. Instead, focus on what's already around you. So here's an idea. So try to be successful about the tools that are already around you. What's in your reach? That's what I always say to a student who says, a kid who says, I want to start a business. I'm like, well, give me some of your ideas. And they'll tell me. And I'll say, okay, and they don't have a real grasp on what they want to do. And I'll say, what's in your garage? Especially with guys. I'll say, what's in your garage? And they're like, oh, what are you talking about? Well, my parents' cars. What else is in your garage? What's hanging on the walls? Well, there's a rake. All right, you can make money with that rake. Go to Neighbors and start, signing up now for the fall when the leaves are going to fall. And pick out the houses with the most trees, right? And you're going to get the most money out of those houses with that rake that's already in your garage. You don't need to go buy it. What about the lawnmower? What about the shovel? Okay. Winter, we didn't have big winter this winter. Winter's been kind of mild for the last few years. But you know what? Be ready with that shovel. Anytime that there is snow, any night, by 8 o'clock the next morning, I am going to shovel your driveway. Would you like that to happen to you? Oh my gosh, yes. Oh my gosh, yes. Look, just in your garage, okay? So what's around you already to make you successful? You don't need to go out and create something crazy. So you got so many things around you. Then flow. How do you get into that flow state? How do you get into that flow state? It's the things we're talking about. Eliminate the things that are on your desktop. Eliminate the things that are on your desk. get those things out of your way, clean up the things around you. Maybe it's cleaning up your house, it's your office, whatever it is to get you in a better, more optimal performance state. Here you go. You got runners who get runner's high. You got jazz musicians who are playing in the pocket. I've never heard that before, but I'm not a musician, all right? But I've heard this, basketball and athlete in the zone, okay? I've been in the zone before. You want to get in that flow. So here are the characteristics of flow. Total absorption. You're in deep. You're in deep, okay? All right? Extreme focus. What's this? Who's this?
Sullenberger.
Captain Solly. All right, what happened? Landed a plane in the, what river? Hudson River, the miracle on the Hudson. No other plane in history, all right, or not many, that had the circumstances that plane did survived, and 100% of the passengers survived. Why was he able to do that? Because unlike many other pilots are very good, dedicated, training people. He constantly spent extra time in the simulator. He constantly focused on what ifs. What if this happens to the plane? What if those kind of things? He was ready. He was ready for an emergency. Not specifically, but he was ready. Okay? So that's the way we've got to be, so that when those issues come up, we know how to deal with them. And a lot of that, there again, you're a kingdom person, you're a Christian, you're a God believer, those kind of things, Jesus Christ, you believe that the Bible's there, and God's going to help you through things, right? God's going to, the purpose at the other end of the problem is God's going to have a purpose, and it's going to be a good thing. Time dilation. There again, how much time is getting eaten up in what you do, okay? Oftentimes, when we're in flow, time speeds up. But also sometimes when you're in flow, time slows down. Okay. So race car drivers will say, you know what? When I'm in flow and I'm driving that car, I can see everything perfectly. I can see what's around me. Everything is going, I'm going 120 miles an hour. Everything is slow. Okay. And I'm able to determine in advance that I'm going to need to do this to get around that car, or I'm going to need to do this to avoid this or whatever. When you're in flow, that's why that's why you can be a successful race car driver, is because they're in flow and they're able to deal with cars coming at them and being around them all the time. Okay? Things speed up, things slow down, and it works well in the situation. Vanishing sense of self. What movie's this?
Good Will Hunting.
Good Will Hunting. What is that scene? My phone just hacked me, even though I thought it was off. What's that scene? What happens in this scene?
He has to recite a poem. He's been scared to death to speak.
Scared to death to stand in front of the class, okay, and recite a poem. So what does he make him do in this situation that gets him over that? Anybody remember?
Bends him over, covers his eyes, and start talking.
Covers him, makes him cover his eyes, takes away, and the class is laughing and stuff like that. And he's like, stop that, you're hacking it, right? And he makes him just think about it, and then he comes out with this unbelievable just scramble of words that is actually a poem. Okay? So he gets him into the situation where he forgets about himself and just goes into flow. He creates a flow situation for this young man and puts him in it's a great scene. I mean, I think it's a great movie if you have a chance to ever get a chance to watch it. Optimal high performance, okay? Lots of studies out there on high performance and what people do that are high performance achievers on what they do. But you can go and read these things on your own. But a lot of people that are in high performance, okay, they can accomplish on Monday what the typical person accomplishes in an entire week. A high achiever, somebody that's good in flow, can achieve in the first 90 minutes of a workday what most of their staff and everybody else takes a whole day to achieve.
You said 4 hours a day on email, on average? So in 2 days, you've gathered a day.
Shift in brain waves. Here again, to get into flow, you're going to go through struggle. You're gonna go through struggle because you need to deal with that struggle. Then you need to release. You need to have the release there again, where you release those other things. You get those, you clear your mind, you get those, and then you get into flow. Okay, and then you've got to recover. There again, you've got to recover after a lot. There again, your overachievers oftentimes never take recovery time. You get into that flow time, you're cranking away, you're achieving, but you still then need to take that recovery time. And a lot of people don't do that. Shortens the gap to mastery. Okay, there's some good things you can read on that. DARPA, a number of programs there that are on the slides that you can read. But what's this? Matrix. What did they do to master things quicker? What were they able to do? They put headsets on, and what happened?
Download information.
They downloaded information. So in a very short period of time, they download how to fly a plane, right? And so all of a sudden, in like a minute, they were able to download, that person could jump into a plane and completely fly a plane. Because they're able to download so much information. Now, right, we don't have that capability, at least to my knowledge. We don't have that capability yet, right? But we can get there to a degree, right? If we get in flow. We get in flow, we're gonna be able to master and do things and be able to do things, amazing things, a lot quicker. And then number 8, the last one, large amounts of neurochemical, like Doug was talking about before, adrenaline. Actually, adrenaline's like sugar. It limits your options, okay? Fight or flight, okay? Flow expands your options. You want to get into flow. You don't want endorphins like you see you got 20 likes on something. That's short-term, adrenaline that kind of, oh, that makes me feel good. That's not what you want. That's like sugar high, right? You want to get into flow. You want to get into flow, okay? So then there's these 5 neurochemicals that you can there again read and what their benefits are. That are effects of getting into flow release, okay? Flow is ubiquitous. Anyone can experience it anywhere, providing certain conditions are met. You can get yourself into flow in any situation, okay? You just need to learn the mechanics of how to do it, okay? And there's ways to do that. And there again, I keep pointing to Doug, but Doug is good at getting himself in these things, and I'm still learning. He's the younger brother by 9 years. How much does this cost? How much is your dream worth? Okay. There again, let's hit these again. Better relationships, more peace, more success, better health, more freedom. You're fulfilling your purpose. Your finances are better. You're leaving a better legacy. You're more joyful. You got a better reputation. Okay. Those are a lot of the negatives that you're dealing with being hacked. These are what you're going to want to accomplish. These are your results. If you work on this, okay? So we're going to take a 2-minute break, and then Doug's going to jump in and teach us some things. So, okay? Hang with us in there, virtual audience.
No.
All right, how many are into this? How many are thinking, okay, I need to spend some time on this? Need to dedicate some effort on this. Those of you out, I see Dustin's got his hand up. All right, he's going to be focusing on this. Teresa, she's going to be focusing on this. Okay, Jeff's already pretty good at this, but Jeff's going to focus on it. But again, we're going to offer some virtual classes to continue to work on this. Because obviously, as you see, I haven't even started on the 30 days yet. But we're gonna offer some classes where you can do the 30 days with us, okay, and not just on your own.
Good job, Jess.
Thanks.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Nice to see you, by the way, again. Christian agency, what's it called?
What?
Christian agency.
Oh, it's called SAS, Strategic Assistance Services or something. I can send you a contact to them. Yeah.
That'd be great. And what's your COBOL number?
Huh?
What's your COBOL assessment numbers?
Oh, so Colby is 4286.
Up with action.
Let me show you. Can I show you mine?
Yeah.
But I'll connect you with it. So just text me.
I did last year.
Yes.
It's okay.
Because you asked.
So what's yours? 4286.
Who wants to jump in this tomorrow?
Quick start, get better implementer.
Yeah, a little lower back. You require a lot. Otherwise, go to Amazon. I think it's $14 for the paperback. $14 for the paperback. Who likes fiction? Who likes fiction and would like to read about the elixir, which is actually kind of a fiction?
I already.
Yeah, so we'll.
But
How we doing? You're outside enjoying the day, Dustin.
Hey, man.
All right.
None of them are bad. Getting ready to head up towards Columbus to.
Yeah, well, you're doing some stuff with your mom and
Yeah, I would love
stuff over the weekend. That's awesome. Hey, Jeff, is that your new place? Jeff just moved to Texas. He just left us high and dry here. Left us all alone here, and Jeff's now in Texas. So, how you doing, Jeff?
Good. Yeah, this is my my new office. So I have an office now, and then a bedroom. So it's nice to separate the two now. But yeah, this is it. It's coming along. Yep.
Looks like you got some nice. I like the floors.
Yeah, it's.
Are those gray, kind of the gray wood, which is kind of the popular thing right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Megan just texted Texas is better. And well, so you two are in Texas. So yeah, I like Texas. Texas is dominating sports over the last year. Basketball, hockey, baseball, football. They've been doing great in all those things. So how the rest of us doing? Everybody doing all right? Good. Good.
You did?
All right, folks, let's get back to work. Let's get back to work. We just have 40 minutes left. Yeah, go. Okay. Okay. Thank you for being here today. Want to see Dr. Sylvia's daughter graduate?
Doug, you're gonna be standing?
Yeah.
I'll put you on speaker, please.
Okay, we're starting back up again. Turning it over to Brother Doug. Turn it over to Brother Doug. Thank you, Doug. Let's give Doug a hand. Give Doug a hand. He's already chimed in with some great input, but
All right. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the alchemy of flow. So I've been a student of flow for quite a while, and just going to hit a few points. But actually, I teach some courses that can really help with this, and we're going to offer to Noble. But who knows what alchemy is? Yeah, you're going to give me a kind of a definition of alchemy?
Is it catchy?
Huh?
Is it catchy?
Is it catchy? Anybody?
Transformation of one substance into another.
And so back in the day, a lot of people think that like Galileo and a lot of the great people back in that time, that alchemy was just this study of how to convert lead into gold. When in all actuality, that it was a lot deeper than that. That alchemy is the combination of science and spirituality. That people like Galileo and Isaac Newton and so forth were actually using science to understand God. And that the transformation of one substance into the other was our process as humans to transform into being closer to God. And so I actually consider myself a lifelong alchemist. Been studying alchemy my whole life in how do I actually use spirituality and science to connect with God. And so I look at things, I go a little bit deeper on certain things because I'm really interested in the science behind things, and particularly with flow. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the alchemy of flow. So what is flow? We kind of talked about, but I'm actually going to get in a little bit of the science of flow. So if we diagram flow, we have our first axis is performance, because obviously we're trying to accomplish something. So we have to look at performance. And we have to look at how much effort and stress do we need to apply in order to have optimal performance. And so let's say you're trying to accomplish something and you have to basically, in order to perform, we have to apply some effort, which applies some stress onto our bodies or, you know, our minds or whatever we're trying to build. And so you have this steady line going up, and it's usually around equal. So as much stress and effort that you put into it, the more that you're performing. And then that continues to go up and then starts to curve and then starts to go down. And we've all had those times where the curve starts, even though you're applying a lot of effort, that you're actually noticing that your performance is actually going down. Because there's only so much effort that you can put into something before that performance starts going down. To the point where it can go down to where you just completely crash. You've ever had those like really long days that you're working so hard that your body physically stops. You cannot apply anything more. That you are at the maximum stress and you actually can't perform anymore. So you have this, this curve. So the top, this crest, is where you're optimizing the most effort to achieve the most performance. This crest is flow. You're in flow when you're hitting that crest. So no more, no less. That's your optimal state. And so the piece between these curves is your bandwidth. How many people feel that you do not have enough time to do things, to get everything that you want accomplished to accomplish? One of the great points that Chaz brought up was time dilation. I actually believe that it's not time. I'm not worried about my time. In fact, I've gotten to the point where I don't care about time anymore. What do I care about? Bandwidth. So what happens when you have low bandwidth? We shorten that curve to where now you're hitting that peak too soon. You're not able to get anywhere near as high as what this is, but that window is super tight of actually experiencing flow before you crash. And that's having low bandwidth. You're hacked. This is what's happening when you're getting hacked, is that you're not achieving that optimal. I should probably have this a lot lower than compared to the big slope. But when you don't have bandwidth, that curves down here. Now, what happens if even before you start doing your work, that you're already dealing with stress and anxiety? So we're already starting down here before we actually start working on our item. And now you have limited bandwidth before you hit this ground zero. And again, you're limiting your flow. Your flow is a very, very tight window. And so you're not able to accomplish anything down there. So this shows you why unhackability is so important. So what is the most important place on this chart?
Bottom left corner.
I told you. No, cheater. No, I'm kidding. No, you're right though.
Is it okay?
So a lot of people people think that this is the most important place on the chart. And when I mentioned that for me, bandwidth is more important than time, it's because this is the most important place on this chart. Why?
Where you start, where it starts.
Would that be like stored energy where you're building up capacity?
Jazz actually talked about it earlier. He's doing it, and he's been able to figure this out on his own. But what he talked about earlier when he was getting his experience up to 4 or 5 hours of flow a day, what was he doing? He was talking about going up and going for a walk. That's his form of meditation. Getting present. So I have a lot of biblical scholars in here. So give me some quotes from the Bible where the Bible talks about worry about the things in the future.
Yeah.
Any quotes on anywhere in the Bible where it talks for us to worry about things in the future?
No.
No.
Anything in the Bible that talks about that we need to regret things from the past?
No.
What does it say about being present?
Forgetting what lies behind and looking forward to what lies ahead, I press on toward the goal for the prize of the upward call of God in Christ.
Straining forward.
Straining forward.
Yep.
Sorry, I messed that up.
So that's why
From one pastor to another.
that's why this is the most important place on that chart is presence. Because who are we to trust to be in control? Who are we to trust with the future? It's not us. We talked about a lot about control. It's trusting in God. The only way to trust God is to be present.
So can I chime in on that?
Yeah.
That's the reason why with Megan and one of my other partners, we have a morning call every morning that either starts somewhere between, it's either 7:30, 7:45, or 8 o'clock, depending on kind of our schedules. And I'm out for a walk during that call. I start my walk at about 7:15. So I'm already out on a walk when we start our morning meeting. And that puts me in that peace, walking through the woods, walking on a path, going by a fountain, going by a stream, going by those that puts me in my day's peace. So that then I'm ready to start that. And there again, it's by accident. I didn't do that knowing this. But that's what I do in the morning. And walking is amazing. Walking is so amazing. But so we've all experienced flow. How many of you actually feel that you have control? You're probably not the best word, control, but how many of you have the ability to actually get to flow on your own and not just happen to be happenstance that it's like, oh man, I'm really in the zone. I'm really in the pocket. And what's amazing is how few people actually have the ability to get there, because this is the most important piece. We're so focused on the destination that we're not present. So that's where that presence comes in. And so when we talk about bandwidth, so Chaz, one of the assessments that we're offering you guys, and this is why this is such a very, very important assessment to know, is what your working genius is. So Patrick Lencioni, some of you may have heard of him. He wrote probably his most famous book is 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. He's founded the Table Group, incredible Christian and business leader, and coaches some of the biggest global Fortune 100 companies' leadership teams. This is extremely successful. A couple of years ago, started to recognize and kind of discovering his flow that we all have those days where, have you ever put in like a
14 or 16-hour day, completely lost track of time, and that when you're done with that day, you actually still have a ton of energy. Do you ever have those days where you do something for 2 hours and it completely exhausts you of your entire day? And so Patrick Lencioni was very, very curious on that. It's like, wow, like what is it about those days and the type of work that I'm doing that gives me energy versus the work that drains me? And so he got together with his team, and it's like, okay, what are the different types of work? And so they came up with these 6. And actually, originally, they came up with 4. So they discovered that there are the wanderers. The wanderers are the ones who ask the big questions, see the big opportunities. You know, it's like, you know what? There's this problem over here, and this problem exists, and let's think about that. Or ask those great questions, or is just the constant wonderer, and they can see the big opportunities in things. Everybody has 2 geniuses, 2 competencies, and 2 frustrations. And so everybody has at least 2 of these. They're not necessarily connected to each other. So you can have people that are great wonderers, but then you have the people who take those great questions and then can actually invent a solution for that. And those are inventors. Those are the people that are like, you know what? That's a great question. And I see, okay, there's this opportunity. How do I put something together that actually fulfills that opportunity? And there are people that just thrive on inventing. Just like there are people that thrive on wonder. There are people that get frustrated with wondering and asking questions. And there's people that get frustrated with having to come up with the solutions for it. And thank God for those people, because we need those people too. We need all of these. So then they came up with, okay, you have then the people that invent, and then they jumped all the way down of you have enablers. Now, in the positive sense of the term enablement. But you have the enablers, that those are the people that will get excited about an idea, and then they're the first to jump in and actually help execute on it. And so they'll kind of squirrel, like, oh, wow, that sounds really exciting. I'm going to come help you. And then they're getting things started. And then you have an idea. Oh, okay, thanks. I'm going to start helping you. Oh, then I'm going to start helping you. So they're great at getting things started. But thankfully, we have people that have the genius of tenacity. And those are the people that get fulfillment on checking off the boxes and actually getting things to completion. But they discovered something interesting, that you have this ideation phase and you have this implementation phase, but that wasn't the whole picture, because oftentimes you have the wonders and inventors who put an idea together, but then they go to implement it, and it doesn't implement so well, and it fails. And so what they actually discovered was that there's 2 additional types of workers out there, or geniuses. One's discernment. The great discerners are the people who will come and they want to make your idea better. Now here's the challenge with discerners is you get wonders and inventors. So I'm a WI. So I'm at 50,000 feet all the time. I don't land the plane. My frustrations are actually enablement tenacity. So I don't want to do the actual work. I want to just be flying up high all the time. And so then what would happen is that I get a discerner And then it's like, dude, you're stopping my buzz. You're holding me back. But that's because I was interpreting it wrong. What I have since discovered is they just want to take my ideas and they're asking the great questions of, well, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? And so they're not actually trying to stop my idea. They're trying to help discern it. And they get great joy out of discerning it. And then we actually have this other piece, which is you have the people that are galvanizers. And those are, and actually what I've discovered is, for me, has been one of the most important things in my company's life, because our company actually does not, I did an assessment of my entire company. So over 60 people. And what I discovered is I only have like 3 galvanizers in the whole company. And realized that a lot of our issues as a company was we didn't have this person who bridges the gap to get our ETs, which we have a lot of ETs, but you have to have the ETs actually know why they're doing something, and they want to make sure that what they're achieving will be successful. And oftentimes we were inventing stuff and then telling them to do it, and they didn't completely understand the why, and would get frustrated not knowing the whole pictures. So we actually discovered, man, we need to galvanize and cheerlead and get people excited about what they're executing on. After discernment. And so one of the great things about discovering this, as it relates to hacking, is I discovered that I get frustrated at enablement and tenacity. I used to guilt myself for not being a completer. I'd get hard on myself. The voices in our head that you're worthless, that I'm not a good leader, I'm not, like all of the doubt. So we were talking about that earlier. Those hacks, because I felt guilty with the fact that I felt that I was insignificant because I couldn't do these things. Here's one of the cool things about this assessment. So now Working Genius, 6 Types of Working Genius, has all this data of the thousands of people who have taken the test. And the thing that I see in those results, they actually don't talk about this as much as they should. The thing that I see in the results is the beauty of God in the fact that it's almost like a pyramid where most of the population are tenacity, and then enablement, and then galvanization, and then discernment, and the fewest, can you imagine if the entire population were wonders and inventors, and we had no tenacity people?
Nothing would get done.
Nothing would get done.
Yeah.
So the beauty of our creation and what God has done is He has given us more enablement and tenacity people than He has wonders and inventors. And that has freed me, and that has freed so many people in our company that my enablement and tenacity people don't need to be inventors. And that I don't need to be enablement and tenacity. That as a company, we can be a community that all work towards our geniuses. And then if we're working in our geniuses, that how much more can I be in this space? That all the people in our company are able to achieve flow because their genius is flow. Working in your genius allows you to get to flow. And the important part of being able to work in your genius is getting unhacked. And one of the most important things, if I can go back and tell my 25-year-old self one thing to start back then that I didn't start until more recently was to learn meditation and being present with God. Great interview of Mother Teresa. So Mother Teresa was asked once, like, so what do you pray about? And Mother Teresa was like, you know, she goes, I actually just sit there and I listen to God. And so the reporter was like, oh, wow. Well, what does God say? And she said, you know what? God doesn't say anything. He's just listening with me. To me, that is why I meditate. It's one thing, it's like when we think about our prayer lives and how many times we're asking God for things, or it's just usually a one-way conversation. And the importance of meditation with prayer. And the integration of meditation, and to be able to achieve this is exactly what Chaz was talking about earlier, is finding the ways to actually integrate that into our daily lives. And it doesn't need to be a 5, 10, 15, 20-minute morning routine. You want to do a great morning routine of meditation, but it's integrating that into your day that I do what's called a silver pause to get me back to zero whenever I need to get back to zero. If I'm changing tasks, if I'm multitasking, if I have a call that comes up with a client or a meeting, or Chaz calls me, or somebody walks into my office and I'm up here in flow and I recognize that I need to change tasks, not multitask, but change tasks, I do what's called a silver pause. And that's where I stop. This takes like 2 seconds. I stop. I observe. I observe what's going on in my body right now. And then I breathe. And oftentimes when we have those triggers that come up, so this gets into the science. So we have our reticular activating system, and we have this little pineal gland that's part of our thalamus, and it's constantly looking for pings. It's looking for the things that basically, is that a snake or a stick? Oh, that must be a snake. And so then it basically cues up to our amygdala, and then our amygdala is our fight or flight response, is our fear center in the brain. And it dumps a neuropeptide soup into the body that puts us into fight or flight mode. How many of you ever experienced fight or flight and think that you have much control in those scenarios? That neuropeptide soup that dumps into your body lasts for a minimum of 2 hours. You cannot get into flow when those hormones are dumped into your body. So that's where Carrie was talking about being cognizant of understanding, those hormones and adrenaline and those types of things. So that's where you stop at breathing, because what happens when the amygdala kicks in is you have about 2 to 3 seconds before the thalamus picks up that trigger, communicates to the amygdala before the amygdala drops that neuropeptide soup. And what your amygdala does is, as soon as it activates that, you stop breathing, because you're ready for fight or flight. I'm either ready to run or I'm ready to run into it. You actually stop breathing. So by observing, oh, this is a ping, or being ready to observe the ping, oh, wait, is that a snake? Oh, no, it's actually just a stick. Is it a tiger? Is it, like looking for those triggers? That by breathing, forcing a breath, interrupts the amygdala from dumping that neuropeptide soup. So you take that deep breath, And that interrupts that. That keeps that adrenaline from being dumped down into your body. And then you expand. So you breathe in, and then when you release out, you let go of all of that control. You let go and you start to observe everything that's around you, and you start to recognize the fact that you are actually safe. That is just a stick. Even if it is a snake, you're actually still safe. Oh, just step back, take action. Respond is the R, so I'm sober. Versus react. Because if you allow that neuropeptide dump in your body, then you're just reacting, you're on autopilot. And so that then becomes that technique through the day of going out and taking a walk. That's your sober pause. Now you're able to go back, and you're able to go back and find flow. So I have a lot of other, so we offered the assessment. I know one of the things is, so I actually have been starting to teach what's called a driven meditation. It's for people that is designed for entrepreneurs and driven people. That how many people have struggled with meditation and being able to meditate? The way most people teach meditation, it's because 93% of the population out there are your neurotypical farmers, and that's what most meditation is actually designed for. 7% of the population are genetically driven. And if any of you have gone through the Noble Academy and the second day where they teach about the 6 pieces that you have to have in order to be an entrepreneur, one of them is driven. So most entrepreneurs are highly driven, and as part of that 7% that actually struggle with meditation. And so we actually teach, so I've been actually teaching what's called driven meditation. And it's for you to be aware and recognize, and it's that alchemy piece of being able to be present and aware. And that what Chaz was talking about, a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with finding that inner peace. And the key is that you can be driven and have inner peace. So that's all I got. Wow.
Bring up the guy. Doug's going to bring up the my teaching guidebook, and we're going to take just a few minutes to go into day 1 of the book. Okay. But again, what Doug and I would like to offer, you can do with this whatever you want to. I mean, obviously, you've got a lot of information right now. Just the information that you've got now, digest, you can make a huge improvement on moving forward and being unhackable. Just by what you've learned today, okay? And just the struggles that are out there, what it will do for you if you start putting time and dealing with those hackable issues, you can jump greatly forward, okay? But what we'd like to offer you is to schedule some virtual dates. You're welcome to participate or not, and we will go through the 30 days, okay? But also Doug will continue to add some of these meditation things and other pieces on top of that.
Files corrupted.
Files corrupted. Oh, shoot. Okay. Well, we're not going to be able to start day 1 today. So that's what we want to do for you. It's really, I've been through the 30 days and it's not complicated. Okay. It's just going through, and there again, like I said, scheduling time. There again, me on my calendar, that means I have to set aside those hours to go through, day 1 or day 2 or whatever. And that's what I need to do. Some of you are just better at being able just to jump in and do it. But we're happy to go through it with you. And so Susie, when she follows up with this event and provides additional information and those kinds of things to you, we'll send out some dates that then we can get on with you on Zoom and just go over it with you. Okay. And typically we'll do it in blocks of days. It's not like we're going to do 30 separate Zoom meetings and go through them day by day, but we'll do blocks of days where we'll go through it and highlight and those kind of things and maybe answer some questions or go through the process. But believe me, I mean, and you heard that I'm still struggling with a lot of this, right? And Doug's a lot further along with it than I am. But just the little bit, you know, that I've done since I've read this book and since I've taught it now a couple of times, I've become much better. And like I said, I do things like walk now, and I compartmentalize and get into flow for a certain period of times, and I do recovery. You know, I'm doing some of those kind of things already. I haven't done a good job of unhacking myself from social media and emails. I still jump into those way too much, but I'm much further along. I'm much more productive. I'm much more results oriented. I'm much more of those kinds of things because I realize them now. I realize where I want my focus to be rather than dealing, you know, typically with all those issues. So we're excited to continue to offer it. When I first went through this program with Carrie, it was a whole day thing. And actually I enjoyed that. The problem that I saw is I got fatigued throughout the day. Okay. And we all do, right? There's cognitive overload there again. And I got fatigued. And so what I realized is I didn't want to teach a whole day. So I wanted to just do a piece there again, get you excited as to why you want to spend time on this, the results you'll get from doing this, what's keeping you from achieving things by not doing this, and get you hopefully excited about it. And then hopefully you all get the book and start moving forward. But then we wanted to offer to you our experience and our knowledge and whatnot in helping you through it if you'd like to. So that's going to be optional. Again, nothing cost and nothing that we do or anything, but encourage you to continue. Take those assessments, understand, read those assessments. There again, on any of those calls that we'll do, Doug will be happy to help you to understand your WITGPQRS, okay? You'll help you understand those a little bit better about who you are and what combinations you have. He's good at that, right? Because he's done it with his company and that kind of stuff. So that'll be, you know, some of the extra value that you'll get is you'll understand then who you are and how best to work with the others, all right, that are in your family, that are in your company, that are in whatever. And then more importantly, kind of with Sherry. Sherry, let's thank Sherry for the food that she brought today. And Sherry has an amazing company because she helps people, she helps companies, she helps find the right people for the seats on the bus that you need for your company. She helps to go find those people for you. She works very hard to understand your company, you, what you're looking for, all those kind of things to find the right people. Well, really what this assessment with Working Genius is, really then helps to identify who should be there. Because if you've already got a W and an I and a T and a G, well, what are you missing? What are you really missing? You don't want another W. You don't want another whatever, right? And you can get too many. Sometimes we like to attract and hire people that are like us. Well, that doesn't help your company.
Early on, that's the biggest mistake that new companies do is they hire people just like themselves.
Because you're comfortable. You're speaking the same language. You want somebody to disagree with you. You want somebody to do the things that you don't like to do or can't do very well, right? And so Sherry's company is fantastic. There again, about analyzing the company, and that's what this is putting the right people in the right seats on the bus so that you operate there again with optimal performance as a company, optimal performance as an individual, and what other partners, what other team members, advisors, mentors, coaches, what other people you need around you to then be able to move you forward, right? And so it all plays well into it, and we're excited to help you do that as well as the other things. And so I just thank you all for joining us today. I thank you all virtually for being with Doug and me today and the rest of the team. I hope you all virtually got some good things out of this. We've got like 4 minutes left, so let's take some questions. We got a few minutes to take some questions. So, yes.
Doug, both presentations were wonderful. I was curious if caffeine intake has any effect on flow. Because I struggle with that.
So what you'll find is that the more you're moving in, that artificial stimulants has a negative impact to flow. So things like that. I mean, diet, exercise, all of those things actually impact bandwidth. So you ever have those days where, you skip some workouts, you're not eating so well, you're not sleeping so well, and you're getting ready in the morning, you're tying your shoe and you break your shoelace and you flip out. It's because your bandwidth is very, very narrow versus those days and all of those things actually have impacted on that. And so, yeah, if you talk to a lot of people that are very focused on bandwidth versus time, people that are focused on time, it's I need caffeine because I need to get all this stuff done. Right. You start giving up the idea of time and focusing on how do I optimize my bandwidth, then that's where things like, not using stimulants and so forth becomes much more important because you're truly finding presence in yourself and learning to be more present.
God gave us a beautiful planet. So much of us today never go out how many kids do you see playing in the neighborhoods anymore, right? Who are out there enjoying the grass, the trees, just that you just don't see. I walk on paths every morning and I hardly see anybody. Right now, I know that people are on them throughout the day, but people are not outside anymore. People are not enjoying, and God gave us nature because it's peace. It's looking and seeing God, right? It's looking and seeing the beauty and just everything about it. And so you don't need those stimulants because all the things are just naturally there for us. We just don't put them all together right. And I'm a perfect example. I eat too much and I'm not a stimulant person. I'm not a caffeine person, but I get it in other ways. I like to watch movies. That's really pumps me up and various things like that. And so we all have our things, right? But God gave us everything that we don't need to fill it with other, man-made things. Right?
Music can even actually be a hack.
Can be.
Listening to music. So going out to nature, actually try to do it without music.
Yeah. Birds chirping, hear the water,
paying attention is so, because oftentimes we use music to be a distraction, to not be able to sense what's going to, realizing that you're not present. It's because something, usually an anxiety or something like that, we can even use music as a distraction to drown out the noise of what's going on inside.
Driving over here, I live in Dublin, so I've got depends on the track, 15 to 20 minute drive over here. And used to be to pump me up, I'm listening to loud, pump up. It's usually dance kind of music is me. That's what pumps me up, okay? And normally that's what I thought would pump me up and get me ready. In reality now, as soon as I get in the car, I turn the radio off and I'm just in peace all the way over here. And I'm enjoying looking around. Oh, that's a nice car. And, oh yeah, then it's, the clouds are up there and like that, and I'm peace and I'm praying and everything. And I'm so much more ready when I come here than I thought I was when I was trying to pump myself up. It's like taking that sugar all the way over here, and I feel great. And then 20 minutes into it, I crash because all that's gone. All that adrenaline's gone. But if I'm peaceful on the way over here, and there again, connecting with God and just that time, I'm so much better off. I have so much more bandwidth, than if I'm trying to be, rah, 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 rah.
See, you're a lot further along.
I know. See, I just got to listen to the younger guy more often. So, but thank you. Any other questions? Anybody online?
I have a statement. I just want to thank you so much for what you said, because I beat myself up every single day for what you were presenting, those different wheels.
Yeah.
Every single day, I beat myself up over it. I have a hard time waking up. I mean, it's every single day. What you said really, like I just feel this weight just lift off my soul. I thank you for that.
Yeah, we got to learn to be gentle with ourselves. Probably the toughest thing that I've ever had to learn was to actually be gentle with myself. And that noise that comes into your head, those hacks of our own ego, that comes into our heads that we're not enough and like those types of things. I wish I can say that that completely goes away, but how you respond to it is what you learn to deal with. And you learn to be gentle with yourself that those intrusive thoughts come in. And then you just, so I liken it to, you brought up the Matrix. And everybody see the movie The Matrix? So there's a scene in The Matrix early on when Morpheus is explaining to Neo, you know, how the Matrix works. And so Neo's like, so are you saying that one day, are you saying that I can actually dodge bullets? And Morpheus is saying, no, there will be a day that you don't have to. And then the end of the movie, you have all the agents shooting all of those bullets at Neo. And at first, you know, he's trying to figure out how to dodge them. And then he realizes that he can just stop them. And then just pick the bullet out of the air and look at it with curiosity and then drop it. And that's what we're actually trying to get to. Is that level of presence is where you're able to detect those pings. Those bullets are triggers. They're intrusive thoughts. They're people doing something that triggers us or things that can trigger us. Becomes those bullets that when they hit us, that we're reacting to it. And so where we're getting to is that where that bullet comes at you and you're able to stop and observe and then to be able to pick that bullet right out of the air. It's like, oh, wow, that would really make me angry. What do I do with this? And look at it with curiosity, that intrusive thought. Oh, isn't that curious? Oh, there's my ego again. And I'm just going to let that go. And that's what we're trying to build to, is letting go and having that release of letting go of those things that the self-judgment is like the toughest thing for us to let go.
There was a sermon here in the last 3 months, and I forget whether it was Pastor Adam Stewart here or it was Pastor Bill Themelaris that was leading this. And this was huge for me because I've been going through some business struggles here recently, and I forget the verse. So if somebody can jump in and remind me of the verse, because I don't remember the verse in the Bible. But basically what it says is God's going to take care of it. God's going to take care of the problem. You're either going through it because you're supposed to learn something, or you're supposed to be humbled, or something. You're going through something, right, for a reason. Okay. But there's always a positive at the end of everything. Tell me a time when there wasn't when something was finished over and you're like, okay, well, yeah, and things got better or whatever, you know. And so basically what this verse was and what this lesson was, celebrate it now. Celebrate you're going through the problem right now and it's killing you. But celebrate it now, knowing that it's going to end and something better is going to result. And if you can celebrate now, you can get rid of a lot of the hacking. I'm sorry, I can't remember the verse, but
to go on with Vlad's comment. So, I have a lot of similar situations like you're talking about. Last live would have been perfect for you with Lene. And I would highly suggest getting on our YouTube channel and checking that one out, because I think that would answer a lot of your questions too.
Yeah, Lene is very similar to that, and she's our last live presenter that we have.
You should be able to get it on
YouTube. Yeah, on our YouTube, off of our website. Our new website is thenoblewisdom.com, and our new one is noblekingdom.org. So now we've got actually two pushes toward that. So, yeah. Okay. Anything else? Well, God bless you all. Thank you so much for being here. Jim, would you mind closing us in prayer?